What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4 nanoseconds Chapter 81 You're affecting my slacking off. Su Ming did not choose to take a warship to the Holy Land of Marijoy. Are you kidding? This is within the mission time limit. If you arrive a little earlier, you can get a little more profit from slacking off. In less than half an hour, Su Ming had already landed in Marijoy. Marijoy, which seemed peaceful in the past, was now in flames. Figures kept fleeing in the firelight. The celestial dragons, who used to be high and mighty, behaved even more unbearably than ordinary people when their lives were threatened. However, there are also some guys whose brains are seriously blocked. They have not yet figured out the situation and are still ordering their slaves to come back. The observation hockey unfolded, and the entire situation of Marijoy was taken into Su Ming's mind. Soon, Su Ming discovered a burly fishman with a red body. The fishman in the sea of fire kept calling out to the slaves to give them directions. There is no doubt that it is Fisher Tiger, who is also the target of his mission this time. Su Ming didn't even think about it and walked in the opposite direction. If they didn't meet, there was no need to catch them. As for these dead celestial dragons, what does it have to do with me? Walking to a burning castle, Su Ming looked at the fire leisurely, as if he was watching a gorgeous fireworks display. Suddenly, 3 slender figures rushed out from the firelight. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. They were 3 teenage girls. Judging from their attire, they are definitely not celestial dragons. And when Su Ming saw the girl in the middle, he always felt that she looked familiar. Before Su Ming could think about it, a voice sounded not far away. Stop! You slaves! Su Ming turned his head and saw a fat man with a glass cover like a fish tank on his head chasing the 3 thin girls. Adhering to the principle of minding his own business, Su Ming prepared to leave immediately. That one over there, Marine, you are a Marine, right? Capture those 3 slaves for me. Advertisement. The man's tone was completely commanding. Su Ming paused for a moment, a hint of coldness in his eyes. The 3 girls who just passed by were obviously a little flustered. Celestial dragons had a smug smile on their faces. Haha, you can't run away. However, Su Ming ignored Celestial Dragon's words and simply pretended not to hear them. Damn it. What are you doing, you lowly Marine? I order you to capture those 3 slaves. It seemed that because no one had ever dared to go against their will, the expressions on the Celestial Dragons' faces were distorted in anger. Su Ming, who had originally planned to ignore it, turned completely cold when he heard what the Celestial Dragons said. He turned to look at the Celestial Dragons and gave them a kind smile. What's your name? Celestial Dragons was stunned. I am Roswald Crest Saint. I order you, a lowly Marine, to quickly capture those 3 slaves. They are my property. Su Ming nodded calmly. Okay, Rosard, I'll remember that. Turning his head and looking into the distance, a figure slowly appeared. It was the fishman Fisher Tiger. Hey, stop looking. I'm calling you. Nah, kill him. Su Ming threw Celestial Dragons in front of Fisher Tiger as if he was carrying a dead pig. This scene stunned everyone present. The 3 young slave girls ran away, looking back at Su Ming in astonishment. Fisher Tiger looked alert. Are you Marine? Su Ming curled his lips and did not answer him, and continued. Hurry up, kill him if I tell you to. You can leave after killing him, otherwise I will arrest you. Fisher Tiger was even more confused. You mean, let me go? Su Ming nodded. That's right. Kill him and you can leave. I will pretend I have never seen you. No, you can't kill me. I am Celestial Dragons. All my family members are here. They will not let you go if you kill me. Crest Saint finally reacted, sitting on the ground and keeping backing away. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and said, look, if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have really forgotten it. Su Ming's figure disappeared in an instant, leaving only a flash of lightning in his place. Fisher Tiger's eyes widened with a look of horror. Could this guy be Admiral? Advertisement. Before Fisher Tiger could think about it, Su Ming appeared again, holding a few celestial dragons with glass covers in his hands. Well, let's kill all of them. The few celestial dragons that were captured didn't know what was going on. Su Ming clapped his hands, as if throwing away garbage. These are the celestial dragons within a few miles. They're all here. They should all be from your family. Kill them all together. Crest Saint looked at Su Ming, who was speaking with a smiling face, and a great fear rose in his heart. This guy really wants to kill me. No, he wants to kill my entire family. Are you the Celestial Dragons or am I the Celestial Dragons? I just cursed you and you want to kill my entire clan? Seeing that Fisher Tiger had not taken any action yet, Su Ming frowned. Why, you went to Marijoy and set a fire, killing so many celestial dragons, which is a capital crime, but you still care about killing a few more. Fisher Tiger finally reacted. Yes, the Marine in front of him was very strong. Judging from the way he just disappeared, he was definitely no match for him. Regardless of whether he let him go or not, if he could kill a few more celestial dragons, he would be completely victorious. Following a scream, the bodies of 7 or 8 celestial dragons on the lawn became silent. The 3 girls who had already run far away saw all of this. Fisher Tiger still looked at Su Ming vigilantly, not daring to act rashly. Su Ming looked at Fisher Tiger. Why are you waiting here if you don't leave? Damn, brother, your presence here really affects my ability to slack off. Fisher Tiger nodded at Su Ming and said, thank you. May I ask who you are? Before Fisher Tiger could finish his words, Su Ming interrupted him with a wave of his hand. If you knew my name, you wouldn't have to leave. Are you kidding? I killed 7 or 8 celestial dragons with the help of this guy. Of course, the less involved I am, the better. You still want to know my name? What do you want to know? Are you going to report me? Fisher Tiger reacted and realized that he had said the wrong thing, and gave Su Ming an apologetic smile. Thank you, anyway. I am Fisher Tiger, the fishman. I hope to see you again. Fisher Tiger did not linger any longer, but turned and disappeared into the darkness. Su Ming looked at Fisher Tiger's disappearing back. This guy was determined to eliminate the barriers between mermaids and humans, but he didn't understand that the prejudice in people's hearts is actually a mountain that is difficult to shake no matter how hard you try. Looking at the bodies lying on the ground, Su Ming turned around and left this place of trouble. Chapter 82. Why are you stealing my lines? Such a big thing happened in the Holy Land of Marijoy, so naturally all 3 Marine Admirals rushed here. The first to arrive was Kizaru. Looking at the sea of fire in Marijoy, Kizaru was about to speak with a wretched old face, when he heard a voice behind him suddenly saying, Kawaii ne. Kizaru was stunned and looked back. Su Ming was putting his hands in his pockets with a regretful expression like a third-rate actor. How did you say my lines? Su Ming was like he just saw Kizaru. Kizaru Admiral is here. That's great. I can't hold on any longer. The rest, I'll leave it to you guys. Without waiting for Kizaru to react, Su Ming, who had a relaxed look on his face the previous second, suddenly closed his eyes and dived headfirst into the ground, making a big hole in the ground, and never got up again. It perfectly illustrates what it means to lie down for a while wherever you fall. Kizaru, who always claims to be the strongest slacker in Marine, feels like he has really met a master. If I want to slack off, I have to at least pretend, but you really don't want to pretend. With the arrival of 3 admirals, the situation was brought under control. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have slacked off for 10 hours in this mission. Complete the hidden goal and kill celestial dragons. You will get a reward of 100,000 for each celestial dragon killed. In this mission, a total of 1.8 million fishing points were obtained. Open black lens bracket. The current number of points for fishing is 6 million, close black lens bracket. Seeing millions of slacking points being credited to the account again, we are one step closer to the next time the system opens up permissions. After the mission was over, Su Ming woke up from the ground very promptly and shook his head. Damn it, the invaders are too strong. I can only protect the celestial dragons to the best of my ability. I really can't stop the invaders. Admirals, you must have caught the intruder. Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru looked at each other. Intruder? The 3 of us didn't even see a single hair. Su Ming smiled slightly in his heart. I knew I couldn't catch the 3 of them. Tiger is a fishman. Although it seems difficult for him to get to the red line, it will be much easier for him to go down. Unless you prepare in advance, it would be a joke to try to catch a powerful fishman in this sea. Advertisement. What's more, it was 3 fruit ability users who were asked to catch him. But Su Ming still asked knowingly, didn't the admirals catch anyone either? Hey, I thought I was too weak, but it seems the opponent is too strong. I really tried my best to escape from admiral's hands. Aokiji 3 people, how can you be so rude in trying to pass on the blame? The incident at Marijoy was quickly reported to the 5 elders. That's all. In the office, 5 elders looked at the world government staff who were reporting on the situation. That's all. What happened in Marijoy this time was extremely bad. The celestial dragons suffered heavy casualties. There were more than a dozen deaths from the fire and other causes. However, the way some of them died seems a bit strange. 5 elders frowned. Tell me more about it. The staff nodded. Yes. In this incident, most of the celestial dragons died in fire, but these 8 celestial dragons belonging to the Rozard family all died by having their necks strangled. The 5 elders frowned. Who was the one who rescued people on the island at that time? The staff member replied, the first person to arrive on the island was the Marine Logistics Commander, Su Ming. Su Ming? 5 elders muttered. Okay, you go down first. After sending the staff away, several 5 elders looked at each other and asked, what do you think of this matter? Were those people killed by that fishman, or was there another reason? The 5 elders leaning on a cane hesitated for 2 seconds. From the results this time, the fishman's purpose was only to rescue Marijoy's slaves. The other celestial dragons were burned to death in the fire. There's no reason for him to kill these celestial dragons himself. The fat 5 elders pulled out a photo from the report and said, but the scars on these people's necks are indeed the handprints of mermaids. 5 elders, holding the knife, slowly opened his eyes. I think this matter is very likely related to Su Ming. We should call Su Ming over to ask what is going on. After a while, Su Ming came to the 5 elders' office. It was like being at home and pouring myself a cup of tea. Advertisement, what's the matter? Why do you want me to come here in person? Today, Su Ming is no longer the powerless Marine he once was. Su Ming's power grew extremely fast, and before the world government could react, the night bar had already occupied the first half of the Grand Line. Now even Sahai is beginning to be slowly integrated into Su Ming's industry. Today, the funds he alone provides to the world government each year account for most of the world government's operating funds. As he has become irreplaceable, 5 elders can only choose to cooperate with Su Ming. But at the same time, they are also wary of each other. 5 elders, who was leaning on a cane, looked at Su Ming and asked in a deep voice, Su Ming, there was a report from the Marine. You were the first one to arrive when the incident happened yesterday. Sengoku's order was to arrest the criminals, but you did not carry out the order. What were you doing at the time? Su Ming put down the teacup and answered slowly, when I arrived, the holy land of Marijoy was already in flames, and many celestial dragons were being hunted by rebellious slaves. In order to ensure the safety of the celestial dragons, I decisively chose to give up the mission and do more important things. I don't think catching such a criminal is more important than protecting the living celestial dragons. Have you seen what that murloc looks like? 5 elders, holding a long knife, suddenly spoke. Su Ming sneered in his heart, this old guy was setting a trap for him. I have been the Fish King in 2 lifetimes, how could I fall for such a trick? Su Ming immediately put on a surprised expression, what? The ones who attacked the Holy Land turned out to be fishmen. Seeing Su Ming like this, the 5 elders narrowed their eyes slightly, and then the 5 elders who was still leaning on the crutches spoke up, it seems that you really don't know about this matter. We're just making a routine inquiry, please go back first. You have done a great job protecting the celestial dragons this time. I will tell you about the reward after we discuss it. Su Ming smiled slightly and walked out of the office calmly. Inside the room, the 5 elders looked at each other, it seems like it really has nothing to do with him. Could it really be that the fishman happened to come across and kill that tribe? But this is too coincidental. Finally, the curly-haired 5 elders stood up and said, no matter what, this matter must be explained. A bounty is issued for the arrest of the mermaid fisher tiger. As for whether to clean up the Fishman Island, curly-haired 5 elders hesitated for 2 seconds. Let Lord Yim decide this matter himself. Chapter 83 Su Ming San Andreas? Holy Land, Marijoy, among the flowers. The 5 elders came again to where EYM was. Lord Yim, the impact of this incident is extremely bad, and the celestial dragons have suffered heavy casualties. At the same time, we suspect that there are other people involved. The death of the Rosard Saint family is very strange, and it may be related to Su Ming. 5 elders, who was leaning on a cane, shared his discovery. On the throne, Yim's eyes were indifferent. When he heard that more than a dozen celestial dragons died because of this incident, he was not at all shaken. After 5 elders finished telling the whole story, Yim slowly spoke, it's just a few celestial dragons that died. There's no need to report such a small matter to me. If it happens again, 5 elders can replace them. As for that Su Ming, Yim paused for 2 seconds, as if he was thinking about something. To what extent has he managed his power now? The 5 elders were stunned for a moment, then quickly replied, Su Ming has a great talent for business. Although it has only been more than a year, his businesses have already covered the first half of the Great Sea Route, and now his businesses are beginning to appear in the 4 seas. He now provides half of the world government's expenses. Lord Yim, we are worried that if we allow him to continue to develop, it may have an impact on the world government. Should we give him a knock? No matter how stupid the 5 elders are, they know that the economic lifeline cannot be completely controlled by others, otherwise they will be restricted in every way. It was also because Su Ming's development was too fast, and the few people had no time to react before the current situation had already formed. Yim looked at the 5 elders at the bottom of the stairs and snorted, how useless. He holds the highest power in the world, yet he still allows this to happen. The 5 elders trembled, lowered their heads and dared not say a word. Once this adult in front of us speaks, the 5 elders can hold a new election. Then I heard IM say, try to win him over and ask him if he is willing to become a celestial dragon. If you agree, announce this incident to the world and tie him to celestial dragons completely. If you don't want to, advertisement, get rid of him. Any existence that is independent of the world government and may threaten the world government should be eliminated. Yim's voice was not loud, but the murderous intent in it was extremely strong. At that moment, Yim sitting on the throne seemed to turn into an abyss, causing endless fear to rise in the hearts of the 5 elders below. Yes, sir, I understand. We will do it right away. I am on the throne said nothing more. Holy Land Marijoy. In order to avoid being attacked from behind, the 3 admirals and Su Ming were all stationed here temporarily. On the sunny beach, Su Ming was lying on a beach chair, basking in the sun leisurely, when a world government staff member came running towards him in a hurry. Ha, Mr. Su Ming, I finally found you. On the beach chair, Su Ming pulled down his sunglasses and looked at the world government staff member in confusion. Looking for me? What's the matter? The staff member panted, holding his leg, and waved his hands. No, it's not me, it's the 5 elders who are looking for you. You'd better go over there quickly. It seems to be something very urgent. Hearing this, Su Ming couldn't help but become even more confused. 5 elders are looking for me again? Is it still about that celestial dragons? That's impossible. Even though I lied, the celestial dragons did not die in my hands. No matter how much the 5 elders investigate, they will not get any results. Even if he caught the mermaid tiger, he would not be afraid. After all, he didn't even know his own name. Su Ming curled his lips and stood up lazily. Let's go, lead the way. These 5 old men are too idle now. They come to me whenever they have something to do. I have to talk to them later. They are taking up my personal time, so I have to pay them overtime. World government staff walked in front, sweat dripping down their cheeks. He is probably the only one in the entire Marine who dares to complain so openly about the 5 elders. Soon Su Ming came to 5 elders' office again. Seeing Su Ming's arrival, 5 elders sent all other relevant people out of the office. Su Ming looked at them with a strange expression on his face. I say, what's going on so mysteriously? Another thing, don't you have anything else to do besides looking for me? If you really can't find a partner, wouldn't it be better? Advertisement. Hearing Su Ming's nonsense, the 5 elders' eyes twitched. For many years, no one dared to talk to me so brazenly. This kid is really hateful. The 5 elders holding the knife snorted coldly, opened his eyes and looked at Su Ming. Let's get down to business, Su Ming. After a unanimous decision by several of us, we intend to give you the identity of celestial dragons and announce this news to the world. Are you willing to accept it? Several 5 elders stared at Su Ming. As long as this kid shows the slightest hesitation, they will act without hesitation. The identity of celestial dragons, while enjoying power, is also a shackle, representing being completely tied to the world government. Su Ming must understand this. As long as this news is announced to the whole world, there is no need to worry about Su Ming doing anything detrimental to the world government. But then Su Ming slapped his thigh and said, "That's nice. Accept it. Why wouldn't you accept such a good thing? Let me tell you, I've been craving this identity for a long time. You said you could seal the celestial dragons. I admit, I spoke a little too loudly just now, sorry. Well, I'm asking for a friend of mine. Your crowned celestial dragons will enjoy the same treatment as normal celestial dragons, right? Don't give me an inferior celestial dragon. Otherwise, my friend won't accept that. For example, there's gold in the sky, no taxes, the ability to transfer admirals, and other privileges that I don't know about. Now, please introduce them to me. By the way, celestial dragon's name has to have the word, holy, in it, right? How about I call myself Su Ming San Andreas from now on?" On the other side, 5 elders was confused. Several people have begun to consider whether or not to report to Lord Yim again. Looking at his excitement, this kid doesn't seem like a good person. Is it really appropriate to bring him into celestial dragons? But it was just a thought. Im's will could not be violated. Even if they had the courage of a few more people, the 5 elders would not dare to ask again about things that had already been confirmed. Looking at the excited Su Ming, the 5 elders on crutches coughed twice and said, "Don't worry about this. Although there is a hierarchy among celestial dragons, your status is definitely higher than that of ordinary celestial dragons. Basically just below the 5 of us." Su Ming heard this, touched his chin, smacked his lips, and said with some regret, "I'm still below the 5 of you. Forget it. After all, I've just become a celestial dragon. It's okay, there's still room for improvement." 5 elders, what? From what you said, you want to squeeze the 5 of us out? Chapter 84 The Truth Comes Out. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. The Holy Land of Marijoy was attacked, and the mermaid fisher tiger is officially wanted. Marine Su Ming has made great contributions to the protection of celestial dragons in this incident. The 5 elders have unanimously decided to list him as the 21st celestial dragon and enjoy all the privileges of celestial dragons. Newspapers under the world government rushed to report on the event. The news quickly spread throughout the world. On the sea, countless people saw this news, and their reactions were different. New World, the Whitebeard pirates received today's news. Several squad leaders leaned on the railing, chatting and joking. In the middle of the deck, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, sat in a huge chair reading the news in his hand. "Gulala, this is really interesting. Someone actually dared to attack Marijoy. The world government is really going to be in chaos now." Marco, the captain of the first squadron, sat on the railing, hugged his shoulders and laughed. "Dad, I heard that the one who attacked Marijoy was a fishman. We are just about to pass by the Fishman Island, maybe we can run into this fisher tiger." Whitebeard shook his head. He won't go back to the Fishman Island, but tell the helmsman that we are going to Saboti Archipelago for coating and a trip to the Fishman Island. Hearing this, several captains led by Marco immediately understood what he meant. Dad really admires Fisher Tiger. Although we cannot accept them as family, protecting the Fishman Island is also a form of help in disguise. By the way, Dad, it also says here that a marine named Su Ming was named Celestial Dragons because of this incident. What on earth did he do to make the 5 elders make such a decision? Marco was very curious. You know, since the establishment of the world government, nothing like this has ever happened. Whitebeard's eyes flashed with a gleam, and he threw the newspaper in his hand away and disappeared with the sea breeze. Gulala, I don't know, but it must not be as simple as protecting celestial dragons, otherwise the Marine Admiral would be all celestial dragons. But this is none of our business. I am Whitebeard. Even if it is celestial dragons, if they dare to mess with my family, Lousy will kill him directly. Gulala. On the deck, all the crew members of the pirate's ship looked at Whitebeard with longing. Dressrosa, Doflamingo sat on the sofa, the newspaper in his hand was crumpled into a ball, and the veins on his forehead were throbbing. Advertisement, Su Ming. When he said this name, the hatred in Doflamingo's heart was ignited again. He never thought that the celestial dragon's identity he tried so hard to restore was actually accomplished by the young marine who had seriously injured him in his early years. At this moment he really wanted to ask, did you take my script? Damn it, what on earth did he do to make the 5 elders agree to such a ridiculous thing? Doflamingo, who was a member of Celestial Dragons in the past, knows very well what kind of group Celestial Dragons is. In the eyes of Celestial Dragons, it is only natural for Marine to protect them. After such a big incident in Marijoy, it was good enough that Su Ming was not punished. How could he be named a Celestial Dragon? There must be other unknown reasons. If I could understand the whole story, could I restore my identity as Celestial Dragons? Doflamingo's mind became active. Woo, woo, on the hospital bed, a person wrapped in gauze saw Su Ming's photo in the newspaper and kept struggling. Doflamingo turned his head and frowned. Virgo, what's wrong? The person lying on the hospital bed was Virgo, who had once infiltrated the Marine G5 base. Ever since he got in touch with Kaido that time, Kaido has been crazy and has been hunting down all the members of the Don Quixote family. Put yourself in a very embarrassing situation. When the entire Don Quixote family was about to be destroyed, Kaido proposed that only when Virgo was handed over and 30% of the profits from the artificial devil fruit transaction were given up would the Don Quixote family be let go. For the sake of the entire family, Doflamingo had no choice but to agree and sacrifice Virgo. I thought Virgo would never come back. Unexpectedly, 2 months later, Kaido sent Virgo back. It's just that the appearance is a little creepy. Even Mingo, who always prided himself on being ruthless, couldn't help but tighten his back when he saw Virgo. After all, he had never seen a mace as thick as a wine bowl inserted into that part. Afterwards, Virgo was rescued, but all his bones were broken and he could only lie in bed to recuperate, which took him more than a year. As for why Kaido was chasing him, he still didn't understand until now. He just thought that Kaido wanted to give him a warning so that he could get more profits. A tear fell from Virgo's eye on the bed. He used all his strength to say very weakly, "Yes, it's him. He was at the G5 base. Yes, he beat Kaido, lied to me." Advertisement beside the bed. Doflamingo was stunned for a long time. After sorting out Virgo's words, it was as if a thunderclap rang in his mind. Damn it. Suddenly I understood everything. Just say, with Virgo's strength, how could he possibly have a grudge against Kaido? If that were the case, he would have died 800 times already. It must be that Su Ming used Virgo's identity to offend Kaido and then framed him. Kaido spared Virgo's life because the devil fruit transaction was too important. It turns out that I was cheated by that Marine again. 30% profit. The business that could have made him rich almost became a job for Kaido White Hits because of Su Ming's intervention. Su Ming. Doflamingo had never hated someone so much. If possible, he really wanted to fight Su Ming desperately. This guy is really going too far, but after calming down, Doflamingo could only hide his anger deep in his heart. After all, Su Ming is now a celestial dragon and I am a pirate. If I attack him, I will experience a buster call. To take a step back, the 5 elders, considering their past identities as celestial dragons, did not send out the Marines, and they would most likely not be a match for Su Ming. Kaido alone has put the entire Don Quixote family in a very embarrassing situation. That guy is the one who can force Kaido to retreat. For the first time, Doflamingo felt powerless. Looking at Virgo lying on the bed crying, Doflamingo patted his shoulder gently. The family will remember your contribution. I'll tell Kaido about this. Virgo, I promise you, if there is a chance, I will definitely avenge you, but now, let's just pretend that this matter never happened. Doflamingo silently left the room. Only Virgo was left lying on the bed wrapped in bandages, his body trembling constantly and shedding tears of grievance again. Chapter 85. Only children make choices. East Blue, the capital of the Goa kingdom that was just liberated by the Revolutionary Army. A figure of unknown gender, with a purple afro, heavy makeup and a half-length hair, ran in hurriedly with a newspaper in his hand. Long, look at this news. Monkey D. Dragon took the newspaper, read the news on it, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Emporio Ivankov worriedly said, "Dragon, this Su Ming is the Marine who provided us with weapons before, right? He has become a celestial dragon. I'm afraid we will become enemies in the future." When he saw the newspaper, Ivankov hesitated for a long time, wondering whether to show it to Long. From Long's attitude when he called Su Ming before, it can be seen that he respects Su Ming very much. Even when Long was holding meetings with the top leaders of the Revolutionary Army, he had implicitly stated several times that the establishment of the Revolutionary Army was inseparable from Su Ming's guidance. Long is now the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and what if this incident shakes his belief in the revolution? That would undoubtedly be a devastating blow to the newly established Revolutionary Army. Ivankov stared at the dragon nervously. After reading all the information in the newspaper, Long slowly raised his head and took a deep breath. Ivankov quickly comforted him. "Long, we are working for the happiness of the people of the entire world. We cannot be shaken by our personal stance. You must cheer up." However, after Ivankov finished speaking and met the dragon's gaze, he was stunned. Long's eyes were sparkling, and even a little excited. "Brother, we have secured this victory." Ivankov's face twitched twice. Could it be that the dragon was so stimulated that he went crazy? But Long continued, "Do you know who came up with the slogan of our Revolutionary Army?" Ivankov asked suspiciously, "Isn't it you? A single spark can start a prairie fire. People around the world who yearn for freedom should unite." When Long said this, the first few members of the Revolutionary Army were deeply shocked by it. It is no exaggeration to say that the current course of action of the Revolutionary Army is formulated with this sentence as the center. Long shook his head and said, "No, my realm is still far behind. This sentence was actually told to me by Lord Su Ming." How can someone who can say such profound things be in league with those parasites like world government and celestial dragons? Advertisement. Mr. Su Ming only endured the humiliation in order to achieve the success of the revolution sooner. Call all the high-ranking officials of the Revolutionary Army. We need to hold a secret meeting. From today on, His Excellency Su Ming is one of the highest commanders of our Revolutionary Army. However, for his safety, we must keep his identity secret for the time being. We must wait until the day when the world government is overthrown. We must not let the unknown hero down. Admiration almost overflowed from Ivankov's huge face. Don't worry, Long, our revolution will never let down Mr. Su Ming's efforts. Meanwhile, the holy land of Mariajoy. Su Ming, please come this way. This is the house that was arranged for you. From today on, you officially have the status of celestial dragons, the world's nobles. The privileges include living in the holy land of Mariajoy, slave trade, mobilizing Marine Admiral level and below combat forces, special supply of heavenly gold to member countries, immunity from crimes, and a series of other privileges. Su Ming walked in front, listening to the butler's introduction. The word, happy, was almost written on his face. Soon, they followed the butler to a castle. Pushing open the door, inside the hall, there were 2 rows of female slaves in white dresses, with curvy figures and beautiful looks. They bowed their heads and saluted to Su Ming to show their respect. Su Ming, you can choose any of these slave girls you like and keep them. You see. Su Ming glanced at the butler who was speaking and patted him on the shoulder. Have you ever heard that sentence? Housekeeper. Su Ming stretched out his hand with his palm facing upwards. His empty palm clenched tightly as if there was something heavy. Only children make choices. As an adult, of course I want them all. The housekeeper stood there in a daze, looking at Su Ming, who had already walked into the maids to play around, and it took him a while to come back to his senses. You are a natural-born celestial dragon. The butler quietly left the castle, and after walking around twice, he came to the 5 elders' office and told them about Su Ming's actions. After hearing this, 5 elders, who was leaning on a cane, nodded with satisfaction. It seems that there is indeed nothing wrong with this Su Ming. That way you can rest assured. Now that he is one of our own, the world government can use his financial support without any worries. Su Ming suddenly became a celestial dragon, which caused quite a stir not only around the world, but also within the celestial dragon circle. Most celestial dragons still hold an attitude of rejection towards Su Ming, an outlier, and believe that Su Ming's bloodline is not noble enough. Advertisement. There were even a few ignorant people who came directly to Su Ming's residence to cause trouble. After Su Ming broke all his bones, the 5 elders made their position clear by saying that outsiders should not interfere in the internal struggle of celestial dragons. The matter ended in nothing, and those dull-witted celestial dragons had no choice but to accept Su Ming's identity. After all, he can't beat him even if he fights. As for privileges, Su Ming also has everything he has. Su Ming's identity was completely confirmed. Although he had a place to stay in the holy land of Mariajoy, Su Ming left after just a few days. As for the reason, all I can say is that it is not a place where a mentally normal person can stay. What impressed Su Ming the most was that these idiots thought walking was too tiring, so they came up with the concept of an escalator, but he didn't think of using electricity or steam to propel it. He had to use people to push from below. When Su Ming learned about this design, he was completely speechless. This reminded him of a movie he had watched in his previous life, Let the Bullets Fly. In the opening scene, a train was pulled by several horses, and a hot pot was used instead when there was no steam. Isn't this just pure brain disease? With this IQ, he was able to rule the world for 800 years. I can only say that Uranus is really awesome. This also strengthened Su Ming's determination to make money. The sooner he could make the super satellite orbital cannon, even if he didn't want to dominate the world, he would have more confidence to slack off in front of the 5 elders. Back at naval headquarters, Su Ming came to Sengoku's office with ease. As soon as I pushed open the door, I saw that the office, which was not very deserted in the past, was even more crowded today. In addition to the 3 admirals, Garp, Zephyr, and Crane were all present. Oh, you're all here. Sorry, I'll just grab a bag of snacks and leave. Su Ming scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. Sengoku covered his chest, feeling a heartache. Stop right there, kid. Huh, anything else, old man Sengoku? Sengoku glared at Su Ming and was about to speak. Shit, you glared at me, old man. I'm a celestial dragon now. Well, Admiral Akainu, go ahead and beat him up. This is the order of the noble celestial dragons. Sakazuki, Sengoku, boy, do you really use the power I give you? Chapter 86, waiting for my good news. Okay, Su Ming, you came at the right time. We were just talking about your story. Su Ming curled his lips, didn't say anything, and sat directly on the sofa. Sengoku said in a deep voice, Su Ming, what are your plans for the future? Hearing this, everyone in the room looked at Su Ming. Today, Su Ming's status is no longer what it used to be. Although his military rank is only vice admiral, celestial dragons can mobilize admirals. Su Ming raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at Sakazuki out of the corner of his eye. What do you mean by arrangement? Just do what you need to do. I am still the commander-in-chief of my logistics department. I can deduct the salary of anyone I don't like. Sakazuki was speechless for a while and felt that it would be better for this Marine Admiral to quit his job. Ha ha ha, I said this kid is like this and he won't change. Garp, who had been sitting there without saying anything, laughed out loud with a bit of relief in his eyes. After learning that Su Ming had become a celestial dragon, Garp had been somewhat worried that Su Ming might be blinded by the power of celestial dragons and become a world parasite like those idiots. But now it seems that my worries were completely unnecessary. Su Ming is still the same Su Ming. In fact, he didn't think it through. Although the celestial dragons had considerable power, that was only for ordinary people. For Su Ming, it was at most an extra place to live. Mobilize the admiral. He himself has the strength of an admiral. If he can't win, it's useless to call the admiral. Heavenly gold. With Su Ming's current assets, he really doesn't care about celestial dragons' heavenly gold. Buying and selling slaves. That is a time bomb. According to history, most slave owners died at the hands of their slaves. If you really need someone to take care of you, why don't you just hire someone? It's not like you can't afford it. It's a mutual consent. Why do you have to bury so many time bombs around yourself? Therefore, the existence of celestial dragons is more to attract hatred for Lord I am behind them. The reason why Su Ming took on this role was that he wanted to be more relaxed, and at the same time, the power he developed would no longer be excluded by the world government. Sengoku glared at Garp. How dare you laugh? You were asked to train a disciple in the hope of adding an admiral to the Marine, but you ended up training a celestial dragon, which instead took away the admiral's right to act independently. This teaching is absolutely amazing. Garp dropped his smile and curled his lips. Sengoku sighed, looked at Su Ming and said, after all, your identity is different now. It is not appropriate for you to continue to serve as the commander-in-chief of logistics. Advertisement. Su Ming shrugged and smiled. Don't worry, there's nothing inappropriate. Marine has never had much say in the world government before. Now that I have become a celestial dragon, isn't this a good opportunity? Sengoku was stunned when he heard that. Everyone else in the room looked at Su Ming, and they didn't react for a moment. Su Ming continued, the power center of the world government has always been managed by celestial dragons. But true celestial dragons never consider the Marine's situation. Now that I am a celestial dragon and a Marine at the same time, I can express the Marine's attitude to the world government from the Marine's perspective. Of course, this is premised on the Marine recognizing that I have this authority. In the office, everyone looked at each other. What Su Ming said makes sense, but if Su Ming is given this power, in a sense, Su Ming's status will be higher than the 3 admirals, which is equivalent to the status of a marshal. At the same time, he does not have to fulfill the duties of a marshal. There is such a good thing in this world. On the sofa, Garp took the lead in expressing his opinion. I agree with Su Ming. Although the Marine is an agency within the world government, it has never had any say over the years, and has done many things that are detrimental to the Marine. The world government has never considered the actual situation of the Marine. We do need someone to speak for us. He also nodded. What Su Ming just said makes sense. For example, in the case of Vice Admiral O'Hara Saul, if the world government had explained it to us first, we could have sent someone else to carry out the mission, or let the Marine not participate and let the world government's personnel carry out the mission. This incident brought a stain to the Marine, and its credibility in the hearts of the civilians dropped significantly. Although Zephyr didn't say anything, he nodded as well, indicating his willingness to support Su Ming. When it was the turn of the 3 admirals, Aokiji, needless to say, always stood on the same front with Garp. Kizaru was a fence-sitter and immediately made his position clear, almost changing his name to Marshal Su Ming. Everyone in the room now focused their attention on Akainu. Akainu didn't want to agree to give Su Ming more power in Marine, but now all the senior executives in Marine, except himself, have nodded in agreement. If he were to object now, he could easily guess what kind of life he would have in Marine in the future. Finally, Akainu gritted his teeth and said, I have no objection. Okay. Unanimous approval. Akainu. I should be in the car, not here. Sengoku stood up and said, Su Ming, on behalf of the entire Marine Corps, I now officially appoint you as the spokesperson for the notarial power of the naval headquarters in the world government. From now on, the Marine will be in your hands at the world government. Advertisement. Su Ming's expression gradually became serious. Don't worry. From now on, I will walk between the world government and the Marine as celestial dragons and strive for the greatest rights and interests for the Marine. From today on, Marine and I are completely tied together. The industry in hand and the Marine behind him will become his strongest backing. Even if the 5 elders want to do something to me, they have to think carefully. Su Ming smiled and walked to Akainu, showing a meaningful smile. Admiral Akainu, please take care of me in the future. Akainu lowered his head, with the brim of his baseball cap covering the upper half of his face. Otherwise you should delete me. With the identity of celestial dragons, the 5 elders finally let down their guard against Su Ming, and Su Ming's business began to go smoothly. Night bars began to expand at an almost proliferative rate. The first half of the Great Voyage was completely under their control, and the night bar in Seahai had already occupied 70% to 80% of the business. You can find night bar industries on almost any larger island. Finally, Su Ming set his sights on the second half of the Grand Voyage, New World. In just half a year, night bars have sprung up on every island like mushrooms after a rain. If it were just a bar, it wouldn't be enough to attract attention. But soon the big pirates of the New World discovered something was wrong. Without my knowledge, this night bar has been opened on most of the islands in New World. It seems to have become a huge new force in the New World. But no one in New World knows who is behind the night bar. Wanokuni, Kaido residence. Looking at Doflamingo standing outside the door. Recently, the night bar has expanded its business to lousy. The boss behind the scenes is very resourceful. If we can find him, we can win him over to my side. Doflamingo, you should understand what I mean. Outside the door, Doflamingo let out a strange laugh. I understand. New World is not like other places. Such a large industry cannot be controlled by just any small person. I will take this property myself. Wait for my good news. Chapter 87. Past Nightmares. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Su Ming was sitting in the office. Now that he was a celestial dragon, he was wondering whether he should make some effort to get Khalifa back to his side. His men knocked on the office door. Boss, I've received news that many bars in New World have been rioted recently, and in some places people have almost died. After investigation, it was found that it was the Don Quixote family that was targeting us. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and sat up. Don Quixote. Looking for trouble with me. Su Ming muttered to himself. Yes, it is indeed the Don Quixote family that is causing trouble for us. Instead of getting angry, Su Ming laughed. Interesting, it looks like he and Kaido have resolved their issues. I didn't look for him, but he dared to look for me. Outside the door, the men hesitated for a moment and then said, Boss, we suspect Doflamingo may not know that you are the owner of the night bar. If I had known, I wouldn't have dared to be so presumptuous. Should we give him a beating? Su Ming shook his head. No, this matter should not only involve Doflamingo. It's just him. With his power, he doesn't dare to do anything to Yi Sei. I'll go to New World myself. Su Ming, who had nothing to do, decided to have some fun. New World, an island in Kaido's territory. Although there is no concept of 4 emperors yet, there are still many islands that choose to submit to these great pirates in order to seek refuge. Doflamingo sits at the bar counter of this night bar. All other guests in the bar had been kicked out. Dear guest, we have reported your request to our superiors. Our boss agrees to see you. Please follow me. The bar owner was very polite and treated Doflamingo like an ordinary customer. Really, it's an honor that he agreed to meet me. If anyone was familiar with Doflamingo at this moment, they would be able to tell at a glance that he was extremely angry. Although there was nothing wrong with the bar owner's attitude towards him, treating him like everyone else was the greatest contempt for Doflamingo. But he didn't plan to do anything to this subordinate. Instead, he decided to wait and meet the boss behind the night bar later to let him know what fear is. Led by the bar manager, Doflamingo was taken into a private room that looked like an office. The chair behind the desk was facing away from him. Doflamingo's eyes hidden behind his pink sunglasses flashed with anger. Advertisement. The boss behind the night bar, it's really not easy to meet you, you're a big shot. As he spoke, Doflamingo made several small movements with his hands in his trouser pockets. Several thin lines invisible to the naked eye suddenly shot out and headed straight for the figure behind the chair. Doflamingo had a cruel smile on his face. This guy dared to look down on me. I must torture him later. However, the next second, the thin line connected to the figure. Doflamingo tried to move twice, but the man didn't move at all. His face changed dramatically. At that moment, the feeling transmitted by the parasite string was as if he was not connected to a person, but to a mountain. No matter how hard he tried, the other party didn't react at all. Doflamingo began to back off in his heart, as this mysterious bar owner didn't seem to be a simple person. At this time, Doflamingo, we haven't seen each other for a few years. The familiar voice made Doflamingo shudder. The chair slowly turned around, and Su Ming wiped the thunder gift in his hand. Bad memories instantly appeared in Doflamingo's heart. It's you. Su Ming raised his eyes and smiled slightly. Yes, it's me. I heard you were looking for me, so of course I had to meet you. At this moment, Doflamingo wanted to slap himself twice. Am I experiencing Mercury retrograde again this year? Why did you have to offend him when you could offend anyone else? When Doflamingo saw the thunder gift in Su Ming's hand, his pupils shrank. Damn, this guy has really gotten stronger. When it had been used against me, this knife was just an ordinary knife. Now, it has completely turned into a black knife. And I don't know if it's my illusion, but the knife in Su Ming's hand seems to have become stronger. Either Su Ming became stronger, or the sword simply became stronger. The aura emanating from the blade seemed to far surpass that of the 21 great swords. That sharp feeling is more like a supreme sword. But how is this possible? Without waiting for Doflamingo to think more, Su Ming said again, Doflamingo, should we settle the accounts? You've been causing trouble for my bar in New World recently, just to force me out. You should know that I don't intend to let others know that I am the owner of this bar. Then tell me, what should I do with you now? Advertisement. Su Ming wiped the thunder gift in his hand while speaking. At the same time, an invisible pressure completely enveloped Doflamingo. There is not only power, but also murderous intent. When the fear in his heart reached the critical point, Doflamingo finally burst out, 5-color strings. Facing Su Ming, he did not dare to hold back at all and immediately used 5-color strings, which was his strongest move at close range. He creates a nearly transparent thread from each of his 5 fingers and grabs the opponent, using the thread to cut the opponent's body. Facing Doflamingo's attack, Su Ming seemed to be fine. Until the thin line was less than a centimeter away from him. Swish. Su Ming's figure on the chair disappeared instantly. Doflamingo, who thought he could do it just a second ago, had his head pressed hard to the ground, and the ground shattered instantly. At the same time, a pitch-black blade was placed on his neck. Su Ming pressed Doflamingo's head and half knelt down. You've been slacking off, Brother Ming. You should know that others can't kill you, but I can. So, what do you think I should do to you? When Su Ming said this, although his face was full of smiles, the murderous intent in his eyes was so clear. Deep in my heart, the fear of powerlessness from my childhood was awakened. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and said, I am following Kaido's orders. You can't kill me. In this situation, Kaido is his last straw. However, he also knew in his heart that for Su Ming, who was already a celestial dragon, Kaido, a pirate, was not a big deal. But he really had nothing else that could threaten Su Ming. His strength was crushed, his identity was crushed, and the only card left was his partner Kaido. Just when Doflamingo thought he was doomed, Su Ming loosened his hand, stood up, and put Lei Si back into the scabbard. Doflamingo was suspicious and asked, "You, let me go." Su Ming raised his eyebrows and smiled, "You can go now. Don't forget to read tomorrow's newspaper." Doflamingo stood up, looked at Su Ming in confusion, his head like a paste, and walked out of the private room. Su Ming looked at Brother Ming's back as he left and smiled. "It seems that if I want to subdue this guy, I have to go find Kaido. I'm sorry, Mr. Guy. I'm short of people recently. In order to subdue Brother Ming, I have to inconvenience you. If you have any complaints, go to him, don't go to me." Su Ming put away the gift of thunder and transformed his body into an element. Suddenly, a black lightning flashed across the clear sky. Finally it landed on Ghost Island. Chapter 88 Live. Ghost Island. Just like its name suggests, the island is supported by a large amount of flaming clouds below, and on top is a building that looks like a giant skull. There is also a pair of horn-like structures on both sides of the head. Su Ming rubbed his chin and was not in a hurry to find trouble with Kaido. Night Bar is your foundation and you must not allow it to be shaken. Kaido is a thick-skinned guy, and simply beating him up won't have much effect. Even if he really killed him, it would have little deterrent effect on other pirates. It would be better to keep him. As Kaido's fame grows, whenever someone mentions Kaido, they will think of the terrifying power of the Night Bar. Su Ming quickly came up with an idea. He took out 3 Den Den Mushi from his arms. The first one is a Den Den Mushi wearing a dog head hat. "Hey, you old man, your disciple is being bullied, do you want to do anything about it?" Garp, who was dozing off, was stunned for 2 seconds, pinched his face, and after confirming that he was not dreaming, he asked in confusion, "How can you be bullied? You are almost fully equipped with buffs. I'll count for you. World government personnel, the Marine Logistics Commander, the Night Bar owner, the Admiral-level combat force of the headquarters, or the Celestial Dragons, who is tired of living and bullies you." Su Ming chuckled and said, "These are just empty titles. What I am most proud of is being your disciple. So you must help me with this matter, otherwise it will be embarrassing for you." Su Ming rarely spoke sweetly, and Garp was very pleased. He snorted with a bit of arrogance and said, "You know how to talk when you ask for help. Tell me, who is so blind that he dares to bully my disciple?" Su Ming chuckled, "It's Kaido from Wano Kuni. He wants to steal my bar's business." Garp sat up and said, "Humph. He's rebelling. When I beat Rocks, he was just a kid. Wait, I'm coming over now." Bang. The Den Den Mushi hung up. Su Ming took out another golden Den Den Mushi and said, "Hello, 5 elders, let me tell you something. The funds for the drinks next month are insufficient. You guys have to find a way to make up for the lack of funds." 5 elders, who was drinking tea in the office, spat out the tea in his mouth. PFF'd. Su Ming. "What do you mean? Don't forget that you are already a celestial dragon." 5 elders, who was leaning on a cane, was very emotional. There was definitely something wrong with this kid. "We have just become celestial dragons, and now they are going to cut off our financial support. If that were true, and Lord Amu knew about it, wouldn't we brothers be blown to pieces by Uranus?" Su Ming shrugged and said, "I know I'm celestial dragons, but I can't do anything about business. I want to contribute to the world government, but now someone won't let me make money. I'm telling you in advance so you can prepare early." In the office, 5 elders was stunned for a moment, then calmed down. Advertisement. It turns out that Su Ming was not quitting his job, but someone was preventing world government from making money. One of the 5 elders asked in a deep voice, "Su Ming, tell me what happened in detail." Su Ming smiled and said, "Hasn't our wine and beverage industry already begun to enter the new world? The situation here is more complicated, so the capital investment is also relatively large. I was hoping to make a fortune so that the world government would have more money, but Kaido from Wano Kuni attacked all my businesses in New World and even wanted to take over everything. So, you understand." On the other end of the Den Den Mushi, the 5 elders were silent for 2 seconds. "Okay, we understand. Wait for the news. Buster Call will be here soon." Den Den Mushi hung up again. Su Ming looked at the peaceful Ghost Island, then looked at the last Den Den Mushi in his hand, and finally pressed the dial button. "Hey, is this long? There's a big deal going on at Wano Kuni Ghost Island. Yes, Marine and your father are going to attack here soon. After they leave, you can take the opportunity to lead your men to harvest some seastone. Seastone is a scarce commodity. Then we'll split the profits 30 to 70. You get 30 and I get 70. That's fair enough, isn't it?" "What, you said I'm too dark. Damn, for the sake of the revolution, I even launched a Buster Call. 4 or 6, no more." After contacting Long, Su Ming was finally satisfied. Although Kaido looks poor, he is actually very rich. He basically monopolizes the entire Wano Kuni seastone. Otherwise, he couldn't afford the huge cost of artificial devil fruit. Because of Kaido and Ming Jie, I have lost at least 1 billion Baileys in the past few days, so of course I have to ask them to compensate me. Garp, Marine Buster Call, and Long's revolutionary army would not arrive until tomorrow morning at the earliest, so Su Ming was not in a hurry. I contacted 2 newspapers to get a video telephone bug, and also bought a mask. I just found a hotel and stayed there. The next morning. Su Ming woke up from the bed and just finished washing up. A smile appeared on his face. The old man came pretty fast. A few kilometers away, at Wanokuni port, a warship with a dog-head bow docked. Wearing the dog-head hat given by Su Ming, Garp looked up at the ghost island above Wanokuni and shook his wrist. Bogart, come with me. I will teach him a lesson today if he dares to bully my disciple. After that, Garp and Bogart rode the moonwalk straight to Ghost Island. Advertisement. Su Ming put on his mask and followed. Onigashima, Kaido's residence. Early in the morning, Kaido was drinking alone from his wine gourd. After he tilted his head back and took a big gulp of wine, he seemed to remember something sad. He covered his eyes with his big hands and started crying. Ooh, damn it. On the side, the three disasters had already gotten used to their boss's appearance. Ever since the boss came back from the G5 base a few years ago, he somehow developed a drinking problem and wouldn't tell us what happened when asked. I guess he has something on his mind. However, today, just as Kaido finished speaking, a loud roar was heard outside the house. Fist bone meteor swarm. The next second, explosions continued to sound on Ghost Island, and the few people who had not yet come to their senses were instantly buried in the ruins of the house. Kaido, who was a little drunk, sobered up all of a sudden. Shit, there's an enemy attack. Su Ming found a suitable position at the highest point of Onigashima and took out the video phone Mushi. Images of Ghost Island were projected all over the world. Kaido crawled out of the ruins, covered in dust and looked at Garp standing in the air. He was stunned for a second before he reacted and glared at Garp with anger. Garp, you old B**************, you're looking for death. At this point, it doesn't matter why Garp attacked me. I'll just fight him first. Kaido has grown a lot over the years, and he is confident that he can fight even when facing Garp. Thundering 8 trigrams, Kaido jumped up and smashed down Garp with the mace wrapped with Conqueror's Haki. However, facing Kaido's attack, Garp just hugged his shoulders and did not dodge. Just when the mace was about to fall on his head, Garp suddenly threw a punch. Iron Fist. The powerful attacks collided with each other, causing a sonic boom. Like a nuclear bomb, it exploded over Onigashima. This scene spread all over the world along with Su Ming's video worm. Chapter 89 Kizaru's salary is paid. Su Ming sat at the highest point of the skull on Ghost Island, holding popcorn in one hand and Fatty's happy water in the other. While watching the show, he also gave the explanation. Ooh, that's a cool move. Vice Admiral Garp is still strong despite his age, and he is worthy of being the representative hero of the Marine side. His face is like a door panel, and his fists are like hammers. His pair of iron fists are still so powerful. He hit Kaido directly in the face and delivered a critical hit right at the beginning. On the other hand, Kaido was ultimately at a disadvantage due to his youth. He clearly lacked the experience to fight against a veteran like Garp. After taking a hard hit, he was unable to find a chance to fight back. Damn it, Garp, you committed a foul. How can you still attack the lower 3 lanes? It's over, it's over. Although there are rumors that our player Kaido has very good physical fitness, his weak spot has been hit critically. I'm afraid he will end this game early. Wait, he blocked it. Kaido blocked it. Oh my god, I really can't imagine how Kaido reacted in such a short time. It feels more like a subconscious reaction. Could it be that Kaido has worked hard on the defense of the lower 3 lanes? Oh my god, they're fighting back. Kaido is fighting back. This is such a wonderful fight. I am already looking forward to the performance of our pirate's new generation hero Kaido. Su Ming took a sip of soda. Although he spoke passionately, in reality, when the two fought, Garp basically suppressed Kaido. After all, Garp is at his peak right now, while Kaido has not yet fully grown into the 4 emperors of the future. All over the world, people are watching the images projected by image bugs and listening to the explanations coming from the images. All of them had weird expressions. What is this? Is old man Garp playing so fancy now? Not only do they have to go to New World to fight Kaido, but they also have to broadcast it live to the whole world, and they even have to bring a commentator. New World, a slightly remote kingdom. A woman in a pink floral dress, holding a baby in her arms, looked at the scene in front of her. Kaido. Why would Garp go after Kaido? Damn it, this old man's strength hasn't deteriorated at all over the years, but has become even stronger. The person who spoke was Charlotte Linlin, who had been on the Rocks ship with Kaido. Although the two have been in contact over the years, they have spent more time developing their own power. The two were roughly on par in strength and power, and Kaido was beaten so badly by Garp that she felt a little annoyed. If I were to face Garp, I'm afraid the situation wouldn't be much better. His own kingdom has just begun to be established, and there must be no mistakes. Advertisement. Go find out why Garp came after Kaido. Whitebeard Pirates Tuan. Gulala. As expected, he's the man who can push Roger into a desperate situation. His punch is really powerful. Kaido is no match. Whitebeard held a huge bowl of wine and commented on the scene in front of him, but it was a bit like eating. Marco looked at the scene in front of him with a worried look on his face. Dad, why would Marine Garp attack Kaido? Could it be that Marine wants to attack the pirates of New World? Whitebeard shook his head. No, if it was a Marine, they wouldn't make such a big fuss, let alone use video. Looking at the way Garp attacked, it seems more like a personal vendetta. Did Kaido offend Garp recently? Marco shook his head. I haven't heard of that. Whitebeard drank the wine in the bowl and said, let's find out why the two of them fought. Regardless of whether it was the intention of the marine leaders, we must be on guard. Soon, the battle between Garp and Kaido came to an end. Kaido was indeed thick-skinned and tough, and even after being hammered by Garp for several hours, his internal organs were not injured. Garp dusted himself off and said, HMPH, Kaido, I won't arrest you this time, but next time you should keep an eye out. Don't be obsessed with everything and don't mess with anyone. Kaido was lying on the ground, breathing heavily and in pain all over his body, looking confused. Who did Lousy offend? You come and beat him up. But before he could ask, Garp turned around and left with Bogart. Watching Garp leave, Kaido regained some strength and struggled to stand up. Around the world, people watching the video worm images had similar expressions to Kaido's. Did Kaido offend someone, so he was beaten up by Garp? Who can make Garp come all the way here to do this? Everyone was filled with indescribable curiosity. When some New World pirates saw Kaido's defeat, they were thinking whether they should take the opportunity to go to Wano Kuni to make some money. However, at this moment, the sound of the video bug, which I thought should be turned off, started to ring again. Oh, what a pity that our Kaido player failed to defeat Marine Garp. But it doesn't matter, Kaido still has a chance. Let's welcome the next group of contestants. As the words fell, the image on the video worm started to turn. On the sea, at some point, more than a dozen warships had surrounded the entire Wano Kuni. People all over the world suddenly widened their eyes. This is Buster Call. Advertisement. At the same time, a golden light suddenly flew out from the warship. It was Marine Admiral Kizaru. Kizaru stood on a pile of rubble, looking at the ruined Onigashima, stroking his chin with a wretched look on his face. Kaido turned around, and the moment he saw Kizaru, his expression turned extremely ugly. No, we have to do it. Yashikani no Magatama. Without any hesitation, the sparkling fruit skill was activated. Kizaru has received orders, and this matter is related to Su Ming. Who is Su Ming? He is the commander-in-chief of marine logistics, and he is the one who pays his salary. If Kaido cuts off Su Ming's source of income, it would be equivalent to cutting off his own salary. Kizaru, who is usually good at slacking off, put in his utmost effort this time. The Yasukani no Magatama, which looked like an AoE skill, hit the target with every shot and almost turned Kaido, who had just stood up, into a sieve. Su Ming's commentary arrived as expected. Okay, now let's start the second game. Marine Admiral Kizaru vs Kaido of the Beasts. You can see that Kizaru Admiral is very powerful, and he uses a big move right at the start. Kaido was obviously careless and didn't dodge. Tisk, 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 young people have no martial ethics. The battle lasted for half an hour, and Kaido, who had just recovered some strength, was knocked down again by Kizaru. But also like Garp, Kizaru did not kill Kaido or imprison him. Instead, he walked over to Kaido and said the same thing as Garp. People all over the world are confused. How big a mess did Kaido get into? Forget about Garp, now even Buster Call has been launched. Kaido, who was knocked down again, was angry and aggrieved. It feels like a virgin who was humiliated and then left. After several rounds of artillery fire from Marine Buster Call, Onigashima was reduced to a scorched earth. However, at this moment, a man in a dark green cloak boarded the Onigashima island and walked up to Kaido. Kaido, who had just stood up, couldn't hold it anymore. Stop. Lousy knows you are here to beat Lousy too. But before we fight, you must tell me who Lousy has offended. Damn it, I got beaten 3 times for no reason this morning, and you didn't even tell me the reason. Aren't you afraid of beating the wrong person? Chapter 90 I have no choice. Kaido has never suffered such injustice since entering New World. No, I have experienced it before, but the situation was different this time. Monkey D. Dragon looked at Kaido like this and couldn't help but touch his nose in embarrassment. He also saw the images of the image worm on the boat just now. Coming to Kaido at this time does seem like taking advantage of someone's misfortune. But soon, Long adjusted his condition. After all, Seastone still has to be taken. Gently pulling the brim of his hat down a little, Long said solemnly, I'm sorry, Kaido, you only have yourself to blame, but don't worry, someone should be able to tell you what happened soon. Kaido almost vomited blood after hearing this. Are you talking human language? So you are not the last one. However, Long ignored Kaido, and the already gloomy weather suddenly changed. Strong winds, thunder and lightning raged on the Ghost Island. On the sea, waves hundreds of meters high were raised. Kaido wanted to curse at this moment. No need to ask, he is another top-notch expert. Compared to Garp, the dragon in front of him is still slightly inferior. Although Garp's attacks are not that fancy, the destructive power when they hit the body is really painful. On the other hand, Long is similar to Kizaru. The strength of the two should be on par with each other. But no matter who it was, Kaido, who had already turned the tables on the fight, had no intention of resisting. After all, the results are the same. Relying on his thick skin, he simply lay on the ground and pretended to be dead. All over the world, a group of top experts couldn't help but twitch the muscles on their faces when they looked at the scene inside the imaging worm. My goodness, this really scared Kaido. Faced with such a Kaido, Long didn't know what to do. In the end, he had no choice but to control the lightning to strike Kaido twice without causing any pain, and then left with Wano Kuni's Seastone. Su Ming's voice was heard again from the video worm. It seems that our player Kaido has really reached his limit. Advertisement. But the game is not over yet. Now, let Kaido take a break. As he spoke, Su Ming positioned the image bug, put on a mask, and appeared on screen for the first time. Look at Su Ming who appeared. All the powerful people around the world who were unaware of the situation frowned. Everyone has been curious about this guy who has been explaining the video to the Queen of Worms. At first I thought Garp brought him here, but after Garp and even the Marine side left, this guy showed no intention of leaving. Now even the Revolutionary Army has left, but he is still here. This made this guy's identity suddenly mysterious. Whitebeard pirates on board. Whitebeard had put down the wine bowl in his hand and was looking at Su Ming, who was wearing a mask, with a frown on his face. Su Ming's dress at this time is very different from usual. He is no longer wearing the white suit he wore in the headquarters. Instead, he changed into a black suit and a long windbreaker. Combined with the evil ghost mask on his face, people feel an indescribable sense of depression when they see it. Dad, who is this guy? Is he going to fight Kaido too? Marco raised his eyebrows on the railing, somewhat unbelieving. This guy who was behind the camera from beginning to end doesn't seem to be a simple person now. But that was Kaido after all, a guy who had been on the same boat with his dad, and he was not someone who could be provoked by just anyone. Dressrosa. In the office, Doflamingo didn't sleep all night. Su Ming's words yesterday kept echoing in his mind. No matter how hard he thought, he couldn't understand why Su Ming let him go. Why should I let myself watch today's news? It was not until his men handed the imaging bug to him in the morning that Ming Jie finally understood what was going on. Su Ming is showing off his muscles. The top marine forces, the world government, and the Revolutionary Army are all related to him. Ming Jie has an ambition in his heart, which is to become the king of the underground world. But now it seems that this special underworld clearly already has a king, and he controls both the black and white worlds. As for the masked man that appeared later in the shadow bug, others didn't know, but he knew very well that it was Su Ming. Su Ming hid his identity from most people in the world and revealed it only to himself. From now on, if he wants to avoid being silenced by Su Ming, he only has two options. Advertisement. First, completely surrender to Su Ming and become one of his own, so knowing some secrets will naturally be nothing. Second, completely side with Kaido. The artificial devil fruit is still very important. Although Su Ming's subordinates are very powerful, it is impossible to pull these people out for no reason. If Kaido fights to the death to protect me, I still have a chance of survival. However, just when Doflamingo was having difficulty making a decision. In the video, Su Ming walked to Kaido's side and spoke in a voice that was not loud but audible enough. Excuse me, Mr. Kaido. It was my friends who greeted you earlier. They are all rough people and don't know how to be polite. I heard from Doflamingo that you want to take over the night bar, so as the boss, I must come over. Let me emphasize this. Brother Ming only said that you wanted to rob the night bar. He didn't say anything else. Well, he really didn't say anything. Doflamingo, who was far away in Dressrosa, vomited blood. Su Ming. Well, no need to choose now. Kaido knew that it was because of him that he was humiliated by the Marine, the world government, and the Revolutionary Army. Not to mention protecting himself, it would be the least of his trouble if he was not skinned alive. Without even a second's hesitation, Doflamingo pulled out a Den Den Mushi from the drawer that connected all the members of the Don Quixote family. Now, immediately, withdraw all industries related to Kaido. Pack up all the assets that can be packed up, and completely sever ties with those that cannot be packed up. The members of the Don Quixote family also knew what was happening and did not dare to be negligent in the slightest. After hanging up the Den Den Mushi, Doflamingo pondered for 2 seconds, then took a microscopic image worm and ran straight to the tavern where Su Ming let him leave yesterday. Pushing open the door of the pub, the bar owner was still standing behind the bar with a smile on his face, wiping the wine glasses, and he didn't look the least bit surprised when he saw Doflamingo. Does the guest want to buy wine? A drop of sweat dripped down Doflamingo's temple. This was the attitude the owner of the bar showed me yesterday, and I was very annoyed at the time. But now, he didn't dare to be disrespectful, and even walked to the bar counter and ordered a drink. Then he lowered his voice and asked, I want to see the boss. Is it okay? The bar manager put down his glass and smiled faintly, the boss is not here now. If he comes back, I will tell him. If you are not in a hurry, you can wait in the private room. But the boss specifically instructed us before he left that the price of the private room will be increased today, 100 million Baileys per hour, and drinks are charged separately. Of course, if you are in a hurry, you can go back first. After I tell the boss, he should come to find you. Have you decided to take a private room? Doflamingo. What a great way to take advantage of someone's misfortune. After taking 2 breaths, Doflamingo finally squeezed out the words from between his teeth. I will. Please let me know as soon as your boss comes back. Thank you. Chapter 91 Thunder Emperor Warrior. After getting Doflamingo's reply, the bar manager smiled and led him back to the private room that was damaged yesterday. Looking at the private room in the house that had not even been cleaned, Doflamingo felt an indescribable weird feeling in his heart. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the most expensive private room I've ever stayed in. Who would have thought that it was decorated in the Syrian style? Ming Jie felt that the words, sucker, were engraved on his forehead. But even so, he didn't dare to show the slightest dissatisfaction. He didn't even dare to sit down in the private room where he paid for his own money. He could only stand against the wall and look at the image on the miniature video Den Den Mushi in his hand. On Ghost Island, Su Ming was unaware of Doflamingo's grievances. After telling Kaido everything he wanted to say, Kaido, who was beaten to the ground and unable to stand up, had anger in his eyes that almost burst out. Doflamingo, at the beginning, you swore solemnly that Lousy should wait for your good news, but in the end, you let Lousy wait for this. Damn it, I shouldn't have thought about the temptation of the artificial devil fruit in the first place. I should have just hunted down the Don Quixote family and been done with it. If Lousy doesn't die this time, I must have a good talk with him. Su Ming looked at Kaido and smiled. Teacher Kaido, I've heard of your great name for a long time. Now that we meet today, let's fight. I also want to try Teacher Guy's special teaching method. Kaido was a little confused when he heard Su Ming's words. I only understood that the other party wanted to fight with me. But I can't even stand up now, so how can I talk about taking action? Anyway, I have thick skin and strong flesh, so let the other party hit me if they want to. Before, the dragon was also killed with just 2 hits. Just grit your teeth and get over it, this account will be held accountable to Doflamingo in the end. However, the idea is beautiful. Su Ming also understood what Kaido meant, he smiled and didn't say much. Now, all of my other abilities have been developed almost to the point of reaching a bottleneck, except for Devil Fruit, which is still a little short of perfection. Su Ming stepped lightly. As the electric arc flashed, the figure exploded and retreated hundreds of meters. When Su Ming landed, he first took off his hat to Kaido in a very gentlemanly manner. Then he raised his right hand and snapped his fingers lightly. Next second, boom, a purple bolt of lightning as thick as a water tank fell from the sky, accompanied by Kaido's screams, and the smell of burnt barbecue filled the air. Advertisement. In the lightning, Kaido's twitching skeleton could be vaguely seen. All over the world, people who saw this scene with the help of video worms had cold sweats on their backs. I used to think that Su Ming was just a clown with power, but now I am staring with fear. This guy is the user of the Logia fruit. Damn, this lightning is much more powerful than that guy from the Revolutionary Army before. Hiss, Kaido must have been hurt by this blow. Look, he's foaming at the mouth. However, Su Ming showed no intention of stopping. Since Kaido wants to pretend to be dead, let him pretend to be dead to his heart's content. I might as well use all the fruit abilities I have developed to try out the effects. Then I saw countless thunders gathering in the sky. The purple lightning was like a birdcage, completely covering the Ghost Island. Su Ming stood on a protruding boulder, like a music conductor, with an intoxicated look on his face and constantly waving his hands. And every time he waved his hand, a streak of purple lightning from the sky would strike Kaido fiercely. The screams accompanied by the roar of thunder and lightning formed a sad and beautiful melody. The strong people from all over the world watched Su Ming's personal show and understood it completely. The night bar has become an untouchable existence in this ocean. Not to mention the Marine World Government and the Revolutionary Army, even the owner of this bar is someone you cannot mess with. Otherwise, Kaido will serve as a warning to others. That's enough. Amidst the lightning, Kaido's roar was heard suddenly. Su Ming raised his eyebrows, but did not stop his hands. Dozens of lightning bolts entangled together in midair, forming strange patterns. Eventually, everyone saw clearly that the lightning bolts had entangled to form a giant sword, hanging high above Kaido's head. With Su Ming's light snap of his fingers, thunder soared. The giant sword fell down with a loud bang. The Ghost Island floating in the sky was split into 2 by this sword. The battlefield returned to calm. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the Den Den Mushi. In the ruins, Kaido was lying on the ground, no longer in human form, and his whole body was basically cooked. But his chest continued to rise and fall. Advertisement. Su Ming stroked his chin and looked at Kaido in the ruins. He couldn't help but sigh. Tisk, it's worthy of being called the strongest creature. This vitality is really not something a normal person can have. If it were someone else, having endured so many heavenly thunders, they would have saved even the money for cremation. Suddenly, in the ruins, Kaido, who was half dead a second ago, pounced on Su Ming. He grasped Su Ming with both hands like an iron clamp and continued to exert force, trying to crush Su Ming to death. Boy, I don't care who you are, but you have to know that Lousy is not that easy to defeat. You are going to die here today. You have developed your fruit ability well, but Lousy noticed that you have never dared to get close to Lousy. Your body is your weakness. The flesh on Kaido's face was cooked by lightning, and as he laughed wildly, large chunks of flesh actually fell off, revealing the white bones underneath. But Su Ming could feel that the strength in Kaido's hands was getting stronger and stronger. Everyone's eyes widened. Is this guy going to die at Kaido's hands? Kaido is Kaido after all. It's over. The owner of this night bar is going to be in trouble this time. Well, Kaido's power is very terrifying. The owner of this night bar looks thin and weak, and he probably relies on the power of the fruit. I'm afraid he's really doomed now. On Whitebeard's ship, Marco couldn't help but shake his head regretfully. It's over. If Kaido catches me like this, I'm afraid even I won't be able to recover. However, just as Marco finished speaking, in the picture, Su Ming, who was held by Kaido, actually yawned. Ah, I said, didn't you eat? Then, Su Ming slowly pulled one arm out of Kaido's tightly grasped hand. There was no sign of effort on his face. Under Kaido's incredulous eyes, purple lightning began to emanate from Su Ming's body. His eyes turned pure white, and arcs of electricity flashed around them. A lightning pattern slowly appeared between his eyebrows. Kaido only felt that Su Ming in his hand seemed to have suddenly turned into a piece of pig iron. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move it at all. Su Ming gently pried open Kaido's tightly clenched hands. Su Ming spoke in a leisurely tone. You may have misunderstood. It's not that I'm bad at physical skills, it's just that there's absolutely no need for that. But since you asked, I can show you. Oh, sometimes I even think I'm too kind. Thunder Emperor Wushan. Chapter 92. Kaido is so pitiful, what can he eat? Following Su Ming's low shout, the thunder in the sky seemed to be attracted by something, and each one seemed to have intelligence, and they coiled towards Su Ming below. Kaido, who had experienced the power of the purple thunder, quickly retreated, not caring about Su Ming anymore. All over the world, a group of powerful people looked at the scenes in the video worms and didn't even dare to blink. Unlike Kaido, the purple lightning wrapped around Su Ming but did not cause any damage to him. After a while, the lightning gradually subsided and Su Ming walked out of it. Hiss. What on earth did this guy do? Looking at Su Ming walking out of the lightning, strong people from all over the world couldn't help but have this question in their hearts. Su Ming, who was only 2 meters tall before and could be considered a dwarf in front of Kaido, suddenly grew in size under the baptism of lightning and was now 5 or 6 meters tall. The clothes on the upper body had been torn by Su Ming. Unlike Kaido who feels top-heavy, although Su Ming's body has grown bigger, his figure is still well-proportioned, and his exposed muscles give people a solid feeling just by looking at them. Standing opposite Su Ming, Kaido's charred face had a solemn expression. A bad premonition arose in my heart. Looking at the enemy at this moment, somehow, it felt like seeing Garp again. Without waiting for Kaido to speak, Su Ming showed a playful smile. Lightning strikes. The next second, Su Ming's figure disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already above Kaido's head, with his right leg raised high, lightning wrapped around his calf, and fell down like a battle axe. Boom. The ghost island shook violently. A mushroom cloud with a diameter of several hundred meters rose above the Onigashima Island. Wano-kuni, dozens of nautical miles away, Garp looked at the movement coming from Ghost Island and a satisfied smile appeared on his old face. Good boy, you actually ate the devil fruit behind my back. But this ability seems to be lightning, which is a bit similar to that kid Long, but also a bit different. Could it be the thunder fruit that can enhance physical fitness? Garp stroked his chin, pondering. Others couldn't see it, but Garp, a top physical expert, saw it clearly. After Su Ming walked out of the lightning, not only did his body shape change, but his strength also increased exponentially. Although they did not fight, Garp was sure that Su Ming in this state might not be able to defeat him even if he used all his strength. Garp shook his head. I'm old. There is nothing more gratifying for a teacher than seeing his students succeed. Knowing that Su Ming was not in danger, Garp sat on the deck, eating snacks and watching the video of the image bug, waiting for the battle to end. We need to take a good look at this kid's current strength. Next time if we want to teach him a lesson, we have to use all our strength. Oh, and we have to use a sneak attack. Advertisement. In the picture, the smoke and dust produced by the explosion slowly dissipated. In the deep pit, Kaido knelt on one knee on the ground, supporting Su Ming's kick with a posture of holding up fire to burn the sky. Suddenly, Kaido gritted his teeth and burst out with all his strength. Su Ming was blown hundreds of meters away. Roar. With a violent dragon roar, Kaido transformed into a giant dragon. It opened its bloody mouth and bit Su Ming fiercely. The sharp teeth in his mouth flashed coldly. On the deck, Garp stood up suddenly. Kaido, who transformed into a giant dragon, was clearly fighting for his life with this move. The power should not be underestimated. This guy didn't use any of his skills when fighting with me before. Garp figured it out after a little thought. This move was used for a sneak attack. In other words, Kaido's current method of transforming into a dragon is still immature and slow. If he wants to make it faster, it requires some cost, so it is not suitable for use as a conventional method. But the power of this move is absolutely terrifying. Garp wanted to rescue him, but due to the distance and Kaido's sneak attack, it was too late. Just as Su Ming was about to fall into Kaido's mouth and be bitten in half. Su Ming, who was flying backwards in the air, once again showed a sly smile on his face. Big generator. A huge electric current suddenly burst out from Su Ming's body, forming a lightning ball. This lightning was obviously different from the previous ones. The lightning emitted from Su Ming's body was actually black. There is an indescribable weirdness when black and white are intertwined. Kaido, who was grinning in the last second, screamed again in the next second. Ouch. The terrifying screams could be heard clearly throughout Wano-kuni even without amplification. The onlookers expressed their understanding, saying that it would be unbearable for anyone to use such a vulnerable part as the mouth to receive such a deadly blow as lightning. After all, generally no one would put armament hockey on their tongue. But the pain did not stop Kaido. Transforming into a giant dragon so quickly consumed all of Kaido's strength, as he was already at the end of his strength. Advertisement. If he couldn't take down Su Ming with this attack, he would be completely at the mercy of others. So even though it hurt, Kaido decided to bite down anyway. When, like the crisp sound of porcelain colliding, it seemed so eye-catching amid the harsh thunder. Kaido was completely electrocuted. The giant dragon in the air slowly turned into a human form. Su Ming stepped on the lightning and stood in midair. Looking at Kaido with a mouth full of missing teeth, he shook his head and said, "Tisk tisk tisk, this is really something good that you have never eaten before. Why do you want to put everything in your mouth? Teacher Guy is so lucky. I originally prepared this move for that old man Garp so that he could play a sneak attack on me. I didn't expect to use it on you first." On the deck of the warship, a black line appeared on Garp's forehead. "You little brat, I really have a traitor. After I became stronger, I didn't tell my teacher, but instead developed some skills first, preparing to trick me." Looking at Kaido's miserable condition in the video, Garp actually felt a little scared. The attack range of the big generator's move is not far, and the launch speed is not very fast. If it is used for a specific attack, it can be easily avoided. But if you intend to launch a sneak attack, it is very easy to hit. And this kid actually added armament hockey to himself at the same time as the black lightning was activated. Good boy, you are really great. If Kaido hadn't forced it out today, I would definitely be the first person to experience Su Ming's move. At the side, Admiral Kizaru stroked his chin and looked at Garp with a weird expression on his wretched face. Within a pinch, the shrewd Kizaru had a vague feeling in his heart. It seems that Su Ming's move is not only intended for Garp. If I were to ask who in Marine has an attack method similar to Garp's, that seems to be Akainu. This guy also likes to use hard-line tactics. Kizaru's eyes widened, feeling as if he had discovered something extraordinary. My goodness, it seems that Mr. Su Ming holds a grudge. Akainu's salary for 1 year was deducted before, and it's not over yet. This is going to kill someone. No, we must not offend this logistics commander easily in the future. If someone were to take notice of me, with my personality, I'm afraid my salary for the rest of my life would be deducted. Chapter 93. Rounding up to 10 billion. Big generator. Keelin. Lightning strikes. A certain scientific railgun. Su Ming was having a lot of fun playing with Kaido, who had already fainted. The pirates of New World, big and small, were so scared by what they saw. This was a complete power generation maniac. Almost all the moves developed from the Thunder God fruit have been tried on Kaido. Kaido was just pretending to be unconscious before, but now he has completely fainted after being hit by Su Ming. It twitched from time to time. The lush hair was completely turned into an afro under the influence of electromagnetism. Half an hour later, Su Ming stopped what he was doing. He landed, stood in front of Kaido, and gave him a thumbs up. Don't tell me, after fighting with Teacher Guy, I feel that my fruit ability has improved a lot. Now I feel like after a little more practice, I will be ready to awaken. I'm convinced. The effect is excellent. Su Ming sighed sincerely. These words spread all over the world via the image bug. When many powerful people in the New World heard this, they showed curious expressions on their faces. What does this guy mean? Can fighting Kaido improve my strength? It seems so. I feel like the owner of this night color bar has really become stronger after fighting with Kaido for a while. The power of that Thunderfall move when it was first used was definitely not as strong as it is now. If a strong man of this level can gain so much from fighting Kaido, then if we... For a time, pirates, marines and even revolutionary armies from all over the world were tempted. Su Ming had no idea how much trouble his casual joke would bring Kaido in the future. It even directly changed Kaido's pirate's name. Kaido of the Beasts directly became Kaido the 100, Granter. While the Thunder Emperor's martial body state has not yet ended, Su Ming does not plan to stay here any longer. He squatted down and patted Kaido's face. I'm sorry, judging from your current state, you probably can't take over the night bar. Okay, that's it for today's game. Then Su Ming dodged and returned to the image worm again. Starting today, the night bar will be opened on various islands in New World. I hope everyone will have the chance to come and taste it. Of course, if you want to be the owner of the night bar like Kaido, I have no objection. Just follow today's specifications and challenge everyone one by one. After saying that, Su Ming saluted as a gentleman in front of the camera, and the image of Den Den Mushi turned off. All the big and small forces around the world looked at the dark screen of Den Den Mushi, unable to recover for a long time. Advertisement. Night bar. What a terrifying force. Are they going to open one in New World? I have to tell my people to keep a low profile when they go to night bar and not offend them. Even though Kaido was beaten so badly today, anyone with a little knowledge knows that Kaido is already one of the top pirates in the New World. There are only a handful of people in the entire New World who can defeat him. The reason why he was so miserable today was because his opponent was too strong. After all, who would have thought that such a huge power could be hidden behind a small bar? Doflamingo stood in the private room, looking at Den Den Mushi. His emotions were extremely complicated. Su Ming. This guy's strength has now reached this level. The fear Doflamingo originally had for Kaido was now doubled towards Su Ming. He knew that what Su Ming had just shown was not his full strength. Judging from yesterday's situation, Su Ming's swordsmanship is no less powerful than his fruit ability. And he is a marine, so his physical skills cannot be weak. Haki is a good example. Can use Haki to block Kaido's attack without any damage. Doflamingo. Doesn't this guy have any shortcomings? This was the only question in his mind after he sorted out the clues. What kind of role does this guy play in the underground world? How strong is he? Could it be that the Five Elders' agreement to let him be celestial dragons has something to do with this? Doflamingo, who was already suspicious, thought about all the possibilities. I even thought about the ridiculous possibility that Su Ming was able to become a celestial dragon because he threatened the 5 elders with a knife on their necks. Doflamingo quickly shook his head to clear himself up. No, it won't be that absurd. He found that he could no longer think normally when facing Su Ming's questions. Bang, bang, bang. Doflamingo was just thinking when the door of the private room was suddenly knocked. Doflamingo suddenly became alert and turned around, only to find that the bartender was smiling at him. Guest, the boss is back. Behind the bar manager was Su Ming. Doflamingo's eyes widened again. You, this place is at least several hundred nautical miles away from Wanokuni. It has only been a short while and this guy has come back. Advertisement. Su Ming smiled slightly and did not explain further. When in the state of Thunder Emperor Wu Shen, it is not just as simple as strengthening the physique. Just like King Luffy's Nika fruit in the future, it also possesses some kind of power. Although I haven't awakened yet, perhaps because of the enhancement card, I can already exert power comparable to that of an awakened one. Such as controlling lightning of varying degrees of power, flying long distances, and moving at the speed of light. There are also areas that are only available when the Logia fruit ability is awakened. You can use it now. Su Ming sometimes looks forward to what his fruit will look like after awakening, whether it will add new powers or strengthen the existing ones. Ignoring Doflamingo's shock, Su Ming sat back on the chair. I heard you've been waiting here for a long time. Mingay nodded and said, I understand what you mean. I am willing to cooperate with you. Su Ming interrupted Doflamingo with a wave of his hand. We'll talk about other things later. Let's settle the bar bill first. Su Ming turned and looked at the manager of the bar. Well, how long has he been here? The bar manager smiled and took out a clock from behind him. Boss, from the time he arrived until now, it has been exactly 10 hours. Doflamingo gritted his teeth and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. It's okay, 1 billion Baileys, I can afford it. But then, the next sentence from the bar manager almost made him collapse to the ground. According to the rate you set, 100 million Baileys per hour per person. This is a luxury private room that can accommodate 40 people in total. So, Doflamingo stared, his pink sunglasses almost falling off. What does it mean? Do you charge per person for this private room? Su Ming stretched out his legs and put them on the table, looking at Doflamingo with amusement. That's the thing. Let's not talk about other things now. Let's talk about the debt relationship first. You owe me right now, let's round it up to 50 billion Baileys. Doflamingo was confused and said, wait, sir, there is no such thing as raising money like this, are you going to raise 10 billion Baileys directly? Su Ming chuckled and said, what a fuss. You should be punished for doing something wrong. Besides, you broke the floor of my private room with your face yesterday. Shouldn't you compensate me? Doflamingo, Shen Te Miao broke your floor with his face. Weren't you the one who pinned me to the ground at that time? Chapter 94 The Lion opens his mouth. Su Ming looked at Doflamingo with a cunning smile that only a profiteer could have. Doflamingo also looked at Su Ming, not knowing what to say for a long time. Su Ming spread his hands and asked, cash or facial recognition? The entire kingdom of Dressrosa is still worth this amount. Mingay remained silent. Dressrosa is her foundation, and there is no way she can repay the debt to Su Ming. Besides, what did I do to deserve to lose the entire kingdom? Sir Su Ming, can we have a discussion? Even the celestial dragons are not so cruel in collecting gold from the sky. Su Ming shrugged and said, if you want, I can tell the 5 elders that I will charge you the same price for Tian Shangjin in the future. Ming Jie, no, that's not what I meant. It was outrageous enough that they charged me 50 billion Baileys just for staying in the private room. Now they even want to double my sky gold. After all, I was a member of Celestial Dragons before, so how could I be treated like this? Seeing that Brother Ming couldn't explain it for a long time, Su Ming curled his lips and said, I can give you 2 choices now. First, transfer all your properties to the night bar. Doflamingo's face changed drastically, his eyes widened, and he looked at Su Ming in disbelief. This is a bit of a joke. He originally thought that Su Ming's request for an industry worth 50 billion Baileys was outrageous enough, but he didn't expect that the other party's appetite was far more than that. Su Ming is planning to take over the entire Don Quixote family. Su Ming smiled slightly, not in a hurry, of course there is a second option. May Kaido bless you. Doflamingo spat out a mouthful of blood, he actually forgot about this. The guy in front of him had offended everyone at Kaido by helping him. If I don't find a strong enough force to support me now, the result will be unimaginable. The atmosphere in the private room was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Su Ming stood up slowly and took a bottle of wine from the wine cabinet. Bang! The bottle cap is opened and the smooth and clear wine is poured into the wine glass. Su Ming put one of the cups in front of Doflamingo and said with a smile, from today on, we are close friends, brothers and sisters. Cheers. Advertisement. Doflamingo looked at the drink in front of him with mixed feelings. What you are drinking is not wine, but your own blood. After drinking a glass of wine, it means that all the property he has worked hard to earn over the years will belong to Su. After hesitating for a while, Doflamingo took the glass with trembling hands and drank it all in one gulp. Su Ming showed a satisfied smile on his face. This glass of wine represents that I have successfully conquered this guy in front of me. After drinking, Su Ming gently patted Doflamingo's shoulder, raised his eyebrows and smiled. Don't be nervous, we will be one of us from now on. If Kaido dares to cause trouble to you again, kick him in the face. We have a big family and a lot of wealth. We can afford to pay for it if it gets damaged. Doflamingo was speechless. Is this something he can afford to pay for? I can't beat the other person at all. Do you think everyone is like you and can beat Kaido into unconsciousness? Looking at Su Ming, who had already walked out of the private room, Doflamingo shook his head. I'd better try to avoid Kaido when I see him next time. This time we have served as a warning to all. Su Ming's night bars soon spread all over New World without any hindrance. Even when they entered Charlotte Linlin or Whitebeard's territory, no one stood up to stop or interfere. After all, no one wants to offend the Marine, the world government and the Revolutionary Army at the same time for such a small matter. In the blink of an eye, another half a year has passed, and the reputation of Night Bar has spread all over the world. Even in the New World, everyone knows him. It has almost become an unspoken rule of the Grand Voyage not to mess with night bars. At the same time, Khalifa also brought herself good news. Marineford, Night Bar office, Khalifa sat on Su Ming's lap, hugged his neck, kissed him intimately, and said playfully, the intelligence network of Night Bar has been established. Su Ming's eyes lit up. Real. It's not that I don't trust Khalifa, I just didn't expect this matter to progress so quickly. Khalifa smiled proudly and smoothed the golden hair beside her ears. Of course, I have been busy with this matter all this time. Advertisement. The world government is really good at training intelligence personnel. Khalifa seemed to have thought of something. By the way, there are a few people in the same training group as me. They also have great potential. If you can subdue them, they should be of great help to you. Among them, there is a guy named Lu Chi, who is simply a natural intelligence officer. He is decisive and ruthless in his actions, but he is also able to be patient for the sake of the mission. Su Ming listened to Khalifa's words, but he thought of another thing in his mind. Lu Chi has joined the world government and started to grow. If I remember correctly, there have been many changes in Marine in the past 2 years. For example, Admiral Zephyr's arm was cut off by a guy who called himself Whitebeard too. Several great pirates of the New World became 4 emperors. In order to maintain balance, the world government and Marine decided to recruit 7 warlords of the sea. Admiral Zephyr was extremely disappointed with Marine, so he left Marine and went to New World to establish the Z organization. He doesn't have to worry about other things, but Zephyr is half his teacher, so Su Ming still wants to give him a hand if possible. Su Ming's big hand gently patted Khalifa's butt, which made the girl shy. She glared at Su Ming with a little dissatisfaction. Keep an eye out for news about a pirate who calls himself Whitebeard too. If you find any, let me know immediately. Khalifa frowned, with a puzzled look in his eyes. Whitebeard too. Is he related to Whitebeard in the New World? By the way, there are several pirates in the New World who have been very popular recently. One of them is Kaido of the Beasts, who you fought before. But he seems to be quite busy recently. Khalifa thought of something and chuckled. Su Ming couldn't help but feel a little strange when looking at Khalifa's expression. It's all because of you. You beat him up before and insisted that fighting Kaido would improve your strength. Now, all the pirates who enter the New World, no matter how strong or weak they are, will challenge Kaido first. This guy is so annoyed that he even built a prison specifically for these challengers. Su Ming touched his nose awkwardly. I just made a joke casually, who would have thought it would lead the fashion trend? But then again, the rabbit Donbury that helped Luffy Kid and his gang quit their addiction to King of Kings couldn't have been built just because of this incident. If that were the case, then Su Ming could only say sorry to Luffy who was born not long ago. As an uncle, I may have to trick my nephew. But is this any of my business? Luffy should really give up his addiction to being a king. No, I have to talk to Kaido about this later. Chapter 95 The West cannot live without Jerusalem. With Doflamingo helping him manage his business, Su Ming now has completely free time. It must be said that Brother Ming is still good when it comes to doing business. Naval Headquarters, Marshal Sengoku's office, Su Ming, Garp, and Zephyr stared at each other. I say, don't you 2 old men have anything else to do? I'm the head of the Marine Logistics Department. Why should I be a teacher at the Marine School? Dream on. No matter how much you say today, even if I jump off this room, I will never be able to enter the Marine School. Zephyr said calmly, a new batch of girls have arrived at the military academy. I heard they all have hot bodies. Su Ming, let's go, Mr. Zephyr. As a senior, I have the responsibility to give some advice to the juniors. Also, let me ask you one more question. Does the Marine have swimming lessons? I'm a good swimmer, so I'm confident I can teach this. Zephyr's face was filled with black lines. Can you be more selfish? A demon fruit power, saying that he is better at swimming. Su Ming smiled awkwardly. It was true that he had selfish motives, but it was also true that he was a good swimmer. After all, my devil fruit has been strengthened, so I don't have to be afraid of sea water. But this kind of thing is hard to explain. After beating Su Ming and returning from New World, I learned about Su Ming's current strength. Garp, Zephyr and others were thinking about how to mobilize Su Ming, a top fighter. I have thought of all possible solutions. Money. Definitely not. My salary is paid by this guy. This kid has no shortage of status. Ever since he became a celestial dragon, he has been staying in Sengoku's office all day, and the only thing he lacks is having his legs massaged by Sengoku. After thinking for a long time, Zephyr and his friends made a decision that went against their ancestors. Use seduction. Of course, this is not entirely accurate. After all, Su Ming graduated from the Marine Academy, so he should have some dignity as a senior. In that case, let him lead the rookie freshmen in the military academy. In front of this group of juniors, Su Ming should at least be able to pretend. Several people came to the Marine Academy, and as soon as they entered the door, Su Ming saw two familiar faces. It was Smoker and Hina. Teacher Zephyr, Su Ming. Smoker was stunned. After several years of training, Smoker has completely transformed. He is no longer the young boy who just joined the military academy. He has become muscular and has significantly more cigars in his mouth. Advertisement. As for Hina, from a young girl at first, she now has some queen-like aura, which makes Su Ming's eyes light up. It can only be said that Hina and Khalifa each have their own characteristics and styles. The three of them haven't seen each other for nearly half a year. When she saw Su Ming again, Hina hugged her shoulders with a look of resentment on her face. Smoker looked at Hina like this and smiled awkwardly. This good friend of mine is quite stubborn. He obviously likes Su Ming, but he just won't say it. I was caught in the middle and felt extremely uncomfortable. Oh, it's Smoker and Hina. You don't have any training missions today? Zephyr asked with a smile. Smoker scratched his head and smiled. Teacher Zephyr, you forgot that we are about to graduate, so naturally we will have less training. Su Ming looked at Smoker and asked, are you guys going to graduate? Yes, next month. Su Ming stroked his chin. Is there any base you particularly want to go to? Smoker was stunned. I don't have any. Just assign it normally. It should stay at Naval Headquarters. This year, Smoker and Hina both had the best results, so it should be natural for them to stay in the main department. But Su Ming knew that Smoker did not stay in the headquarters in the end, but went to Loafed Town, a marine branch, which was a bit unreasonable. Su Ming glanced at Smoker and said nothing more. Hey, you guy, why don't you ask Hina? Hina, who thought Su Ming would take the initiative to greet her, finally couldn't hold it anymore and asked Su Ming in dissatisfaction. Su Ming chuckled and said, I'm just here to see you're angry. I'll talk to you when you calm down. The other. This guy definitely did it on purpose. Seeing that Hina was about to get angry again, Su Ming smiled and waved his hand. Okay, let's get down to business. Which department are you going to, Hina? Hina pouted. I'm going to work for Vice Admiral Guion. We've already agreed on that. By the way, Sister Guion has been in trouble recently. You are being poached. Su Ming was stunned. Are you being poached? Wait a minute, there's nothing going on between me and Vice Admiral Guion. Hina rolled her eyes. You know it well. Teacher Zephyr, Smoker and I have something else to do, so we'll leave now. By the way, this guy is very dishonest. Teacher Zephyr, you have to keep an eye on him and not let him harm the Marine juniors. Advertisement. After saying that, Hina and Smoker turned and left. Su Ming was confused and smiled awkwardly at Zephyr. Teacher Zephyr, shall we go? Zephyr looked Su Ming up and down. Forget it. I'm worried that you'll really be like Hina said, and harm the girls at the Marine Academy. Su Ming. Zephyr finally brought Su Ming to the new students. But before coming, he made Su Ming promise again and again that he would not mess with the female students in the military academy, and only then did he give up. Marine recruiters have already heard about Su Ming's deeds. When they met Su Ming in person, most of them looked at him with admiration, just like fans seeing their idol. He asked questions excitedly. Senior Su Ming, I heard that you are a disciple of Vice Admiral Garp. Is it true? Senior Su Ming, how did you become a celestial dragons? Senior Su Ming, is the rumor about you and Vice Admiral Guion true? Senior Su Ming, please bless me to be rich. Su Ming's face was filled with black lines. What was going on? And why did he make a wish when he saw him? What do you think of yourself? Zephyr stood aside and couldn't help laughing when he saw Su Ming being humiliated. It's not easy to see this kid like this. You don't know it, little brat, but your deeds in the Marine are now legendary. From being a rising star in the Marine Corps in the early years, to now becoming the light of the Marine Corps. There are also gossip reports saying that you infiltrated the world government for the Marine. Su Ming smiled awkwardly. If he guessed correctly, these news should have been published by the newspaper he funded. Thinking back to when I first became a celestial dragon, I did explain that in order to make the Marines and civilians less resistant to me, I should post more positive news about myself. This is all for the purpose of making money. After all, when doing business, the boss's image is still very important. I never thought that these newspapers would really do what they were paid for, and would publish a positive report about themselves every now and then. It actually brainwashed the new generation of Marines. Zephyr casually took out a few news reports and threw them in front of Su Ming. Wow, there are 10 sections in the news, 6 of which are about myself, and the remaining 4 and 2 are about promotions at the night bar. One of the newspaper headlines had some eye-catching words written on it. Marine cannot live without Su Ming, just like the West cannot live without Jerusalem. Damn, according to reports like this, it won't be long before I can release peripheral products. Chapter 96 High-Risk Occupations. The newspapers achieved remarkable results, so Su Ming decided to go back and raise the salaries of these newspapers. At the same time, Su Ming also realized a problem. I also need to find a few people to get involved in the newspaper business. This thing may seem insignificant at ordinary times, but it can subtly influence many things. World government's hand is just average, and it always ends up revealing big news. Su Ming expressed contempt. After finally dealing with the new students at Marine School, I was about to leave when a timid voice sounded behind me. Well, Senior Su Ming, could you please sign an autograph for me? Behind him, a little girl with dark blue hair was holding a notebook. Su Ming looked at the little girl and actually felt that she looked somewhat familiar. Ain, nonsense. Shouldn't you be training now? Zephyr saw the girl and shouted angrily. Su Ming reacted suddenly. Damn, isn't this Ain, the future user of the retrograde fruit? Just say why it looks familiar. But now Ain is not the pure and elegant girl she will be in the future, she is still just a little girl. When Zephyr yelled at her, she was immediately scared to tears. Biting her lower lip, she felt indescribably aggrieved. Zephyr covered his face with a headache. Damn, he actually forgot that this girl was Su Ming's die-hard fan. I heard that a Su Ming fan club was organized in the Marine School. Sure enough, adolescent girls are the craziest. Yes, sorry, Mr. Zephyr, I have to go back to training now, I just want an autograph. Su Ming glared at Zephyr in dissatisfaction. FK, you old man, you criticized my fans. Zephyr. Su Ming took the notebook from Ain's hand, signed a big name on it, and then touched Ain's little head. Ian looked very happy and smiled. Thank you, Senior Su Ming. I will work hard to be like you, contribute to the Marines, and be an upright Marine in the future. The little girl skipped away. Advertisement. Zephyr grabbed Su Ming and said, don't come to Marine School again. Ain is one of the most promising freshmen in this class. Don't let her be corrupted. Zephyr now felt like an old father's daughter being targeted. Listen, what did that little girl say just now? Learn from this guy. What? Learn to slack off. Zephyr finally realized that he had made a wrong decision. No matter what, we cannot let Su Ming come to Marine School again and poison the next generation. The days of peace and tranquility always pass quickly and are very pleasant. Su Ming's daily task is to take some time off and pay Marine's salary. By the way, when I have nothing to do, I listen to Khalifa report on the latest financial revenue. The life of rich people is so boring and tedious. He even wondered at one point whether he should hold a rock concert someday. At the bar, as soon as Su Ming walked out of the office, he saw Garp sitting alone at the bar drinking. Old man, why are you acting so depressed now? Are you coming to my bar to pick up girls? Is it really so unloved? Su Ming picked up a bottle of beer. Garp glared at Su Ming and said, you little brat, I'm really annoyed with you. The dragon issue has been getting bigger and bigger recently, and has been given special attention by the world government. Why would this kid take this path? Su Ming, didn't I ask you to enlighten him at that time? Didn't he already have the same thoughts as now? Su Ming quickly shook his head. He definitely didn't have this idea before I enlightened him. This sentence is not a lie. When I was chatting with Long that time, Long was indeed still very ignorant. How can I repair it? What went wrong with my education? Su Ming touched his nose and awkwardly changed the subject. Old man, don't talk about Long. He has his own choices. Your grandson is not a child anymore. You haven't been back to see him recently. Hearing Luffy, Garp was diverted from the topic. He raised his head and drank the wine in the glass in one gulp. No, I went to Water City some time ago and wiped out a group of pirates called Cone Pepper. I just came back not long ago. I'll go back to East Blue in 2 days. Advertisement. When Su Ming heard Garp's words, he suddenly remembered the matter of Cone Green Pepper. This old man is really miserable. Garp is famous for his hard fist in the entire New World. This guy actually used his own head to hit Garp's fist with the armed color. And this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that his head is actually the key to a treasure trove. As a result, he was flattened by Garp's punch, his net worth plummeted instantly, and he became a pauper. By the way, kid, will you come back to East Blue with me this time? You haven't met Luffy yet, and you haven't seen Ace in a long time either. Su Ming chuckled and said, why, old man, do you want me to give Luffy some special training as well? Garp rolled his eyes and said, I just think you are so confident in being a Marine. With Luffy's personality, seeing you might make him more determined to become a Marine. After hearing this reason, Su Ming couldn't help but give Garp a thumbs up. You really spared no effort to get your grandson to join the Marine. The two smiled at each other and suddenly reached a consensus. East Blue, Windmill Village. Even on such a remote island, there is still a bar. The person in charge here is a young girl, Makino, who looks about the same age as Khalifa. Luffy, I'm your grandpa, come out. Before he even entered the house, Garp jumped out of the loudspeaker he had prepared and started shouting wildly. Oh no, that stinky old man is back, I have to hide. Su Ming looked at Garp speechlessly. I say, old man, how do you usually educate your grandson? Why do your family members act as if they have seen the king of hell when they see you? Garp hugged his shoulders and snorted, what do you know, brat? Only the most rigorous training can make you the bravest Marine. Now we are just laying the foundation for him. The formal training will start when he becomes a Marine. Su Ming recalled the methods Garp used to train him. I have an extraordinary physique and am not afraid of getting hurt, but this is life-threatening. Suddenly I understand why Luffy is determined to become a pirate. After all, being a pirate only means you might die, but if you become a Marine and follow Garp's training method, you will definitely die. Su Ming shook his head, but had no intention of persuading Garp. This is also a stubborn old man. It is impossible for him to change his mind just because of a few words from me. As a burst of crackling sounds was heard in the bar, Su Ming walked into the pub leisurely. In front of the bar, Su Ming saw a person he had never seen before but was very familiar with. One of the future 4 emperors, the red-haired Shanks. Chapter 97 Su Ming, give me some face. Su Ming walked to the bar slowly and pointed at Shanks. Boss, give me a drink and put it on his account. Shanks' crew in the bar looked confused. Boss, is this someone you know? Shanks shook his head in confusion and looked at Su Ming. Sir, do we know each other? Su Ming smiled slightly. If you buy me a drink, then we will know each other. Shanks was stunned for a moment, blinked, and then laughed. That's right, okay, Makino, then give him a glass of wine and put it on my account. Behind the bar, Makino looked at Su Ming, feeling an indescribable sense of familiarity in his heart. After glancing at him in confusion, he still couldn't remember who the other person was. Here's your wine, sir. Su Ming looked at the ordinary beer in the glass. Damn it, who are you looking down on? I'm talking about putting it on his bill. Su Ming slapped the bar, stood up and pointed at Shanks. Shanks frowned, and the expression on his face slowly turned cold. Is this guy here to cause trouble? However, Su Ming's next words almost made him fall to the ground. Have you ever seen someone offer cheap wine when they treat you to a drink? Bring me the most expensive one. This, and this. Oh, never mind, I want everything on this. Let me tell you, we have plenty of money. Right, brother, you just said you'd buy me a drink, you can't go back on your word. I'm telling you, you're a righteous friend, and I'm determined to be your friend. Su Ming put his arm around Shanks' shoulders. A drop of sweat rolled down Shanks' forehead. If Su Ming continues to drink like this, he will have to sell his pirate ship today. However, the other party didn't seem to show any ill intentions, and he did say he would buy him a drink. It would not seem very fair to turn against him at this time, and it went against Shanks' usual principles. I am a man who wants to do great things. How can I complain about some alcohol money? If this gets out, how will my pirates group survive in the outside world? While talking, Makino had already taken out some expensive drinks from the bar and placed them in front of Su Ming. Su Ming didn't hesitate to pick up the most expensive bottle and drank it down. Shanks' eyes twitched. This guy's hands are really accurate. If I'm not mistaken, the bottle of wine just now should be worth 100 million Baileys. It is a new wine launched by the night bar. Even I, as a captain, couldn't bear to drink it. I looked at it several times but couldn't make up my mind to buy it. In the end, the guy in front of me drank it like water. Now that you've had your fill of wine, it's time for you to tell us who you are. Advertisement. Su Ming chuckled and burped. Oh, it's okay, I'm the Marine who came to catch you. Shanks. All of Shanks' crew members in the bar stood up and looked at Su Ming with vigilance. Shanks waved his hand, signaling the crew to calm down. You are joking, sir. If they really came to arrest me, they would have done it before they entered the door. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and smiled faintly. Should I say it or not, you are really brave. You should know that this is the hometown of Old Man Garp. Aren't you afraid that he will recognize you? Do you really think that old man doesn't dare to arrest you? Shanks remained silent, and the solemn expression on his face deepened. Judging from the other party's words, this young man has a deep relationship with Garp. And he also knows his own identity. This guy is not an ordinary Marine. Shanks' mind was racing, wondering whether he should take the opportunity to get rid of Su Ming. Sitting on the bar chair, Su Ming suddenly stretched himself and said, forget it. It's not my working hours now, and I'm not interested in working overtime. Since you bought me a drink, I can pretend I didn't see anything. Also, let me remind you that Ace is in the back hill. After saying that, Su Ming walked out of the bar carrying a bottle of wine. Only Shanks and the crew members had serious expressions on their faces. I remember. Makino behind the bar suddenly exclaimed. Shanks turned his head in confusion and looked at Makino. He is Mr. Garp's disciple, Mr. Su Ming. Shanks' eyes widened and he turned back to look for Su Ming, only to find that he was no longer outside the bar. Shanks took a deep breath. Others don't know Su Ming's identity, but Shanks, who has some connections with the world government, knows very well that Su Ming is actually the owner of the night bar. Some time ago, this guy went to New World to beat up Kaido and subdue Doflamingo. Shanks knew all these things. Shanks felt a layer of sweat on his back. I actually wanted to attack this guy just now, it was a close call, I almost died. Beckman stood up and walked over to Shanks. Our identities have been discovered, are we leaving now? Shanks shook his head. No, I'm here to see Ace. Garp won't touch us. Advertisement. As for Su Ming, we have no conflict with him, and given his personality, he probably won't attack us. Just pretend you don't know. As Su Ming left, the bar soon became lively again. In the shade of the trees in the distance. Hey, you old man, you want to drink, but you asked me to bring it out for you. I'll deduct 200 million Baileys from your salary later. Garp uncorked the bottle and took 2 gulps. Get lost, you little brat. Do you think my observation hockey is just for show? You clearly got this wine from Shanks. Ace is my grandson now. It is not convenient for me to arrest them or meet them. Su Ming curled his lips and said, did I say this is for wine money? Hey, I am now a celestial dragon. Isn't it worth 200 million times the profit to run errands for you? Do you believe me and let Akainu bite you? Garp. Luffy was ultimately unable to escape Garp's clutches and was caught by Garp in the dense forest at midnight, where he was directly struck by a wave of armed-colored love iron fists. As for Su Ming, he came to the beach alone. Not long after, Shanks also arrived here. The owner of the night bar, the commander-in-chief of marine logistics, single-handedly controlled the economic lifeline of the world government and became celestial dragons. I didn't expect you to be so young. Su Ming glanced at Shanks with dissatisfaction. If you keep pretending to be mature in front of me, do you believe that I will beat you so badly that even the five elders won't recognize you? Shanks' expression froze and he touched his nose awkwardly. Damn it, why doesn't this guy play by the rules? When big guys meet, shouldn't they pretend to be deep first and then get down to business? Seeing Shanks didn't say anything, Su Ming said, I asked you to come here because of something. Are you interested in collaborating? Shanks frowned. Cooperation. You're a marine, I'm a pirate. How can we cooperate? Su Ming rolled his eyes. You forgot I'm still a celestial dragon. The most important thing when you're out there is to have power. I already have acquaintances in the world government and the Marine Corps. Now we only need the pirates. How about you give me some face and help me as an insider? Su Ming stepped forward and put his arm around Shanks' shoulders. At that moment, when Shanks heard Su Ming asking for face, for some reason, he wanted to agree to him directly. Chapter 98 Gatling Gun with Blue Flames. It's not impossible for me to be your spy in the pirates, but what can I get in return? Shanks asked Su Ming. Su Ming was puzzled. Can't you give me some face? Shanks, I paid for your drinks just now, which was very considerate of you. Su Ming curled his lips. Well, if you agree to help me be a spy in the pirates, I can provide you with financial support. Shanks shook his head. I'm not short of money. Su Ming glanced at Shanks and said, You are not short of money, why did you grit your teeth so hard when you paid for the wine? Shanks looked at the man in front of him speechlessly. Does this guy usually speak in such a choking way? Taking a deep breath, Shanks said again, I don't plan to form a large pirates group, so I don't need a lot of money. If you don't have anything else to impress me, I can only say that our deal can't be reached. Su Ming stroked his chin and thought for a while. Well, is that so? How about I help you become the pirates' king? Shanks was speechless. And I'll help you spy on myself. Oh yeah, that doesn't seem to work. Shanks held his forehead and looked at Su Ming speechlessly. Why does this guy in front of me look so unreliable? Forget it, let me get this straight. I'm going to the New World and want to form an elite group of pirates. I hope you can give me some technology. Hey, I thought you wanted something. I can't guarantee anything else, but if you want science and technology, I have it all. Su Ming was not exaggerating. In the system mall, the prices of some gun designs were very low. Basically, most of the gun design drawings cost less than 20,000 points. Wait for me a moment. Ignoring Shanks's doubts, Su Ming turned and walked towards the dense forest. System, exchange some gun blueprints for me. Ding. Spend 10,000 lazy points to exchange for the Desert Eagle pistol design. Ding. Spend 15,000 lazy points to exchange for the King of Rifles AK-47. Ding. Spend 20,000 lazy points to exchange for a Gatling gun. Closing square bracket. A moment later, Su Ming walked back to Shanks holding a pile of blueprints. Look at these. Advertisement. Shanks looked confused. What is this? Su Ming clapped his hands. Gun design drawings. If you need technical support, there is nothing more direct than this. You are a pirate after all, and you have a one-on-one contact with me. I can't just hand the gun to you, right? Su Ming looked through several design drawings, picked up a chapter and handed it to Shanks. Look at this, a Gatling gun with blue flames, do you like it? Once you start firing, the sound of da 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 will continue. If you can withstand the recoil, the steel plate can be beaten into a colander. I remember there was a fat guy in your pirate's ship. He would be perfect for this type of role. Su Ming's description was vivid and colorful, but Shanks was completely confused. Looking at the design drawings on the ground, Shanks took a deep breath and said, I get it. I'll take these design drawings. But if there are any new technologies in the future, we will also communicate with each other. Su Ming chuckled and said, that depends on the value of the information you provide me. These guns are just appetizers. If you can provide some information that can subvert the world, I can make you something that can blow up Mariajoy in one go. Shanks, I twitched. You are kidding, right? Su Ming smiled slightly and said nothing more. By the way, after leaving Windmill Village, you should enter the New World. What are your plans when you arrive in the New World? Shanks thought for a moment and said, let's challenge Kaido first and improve our strength. Oh, by the way, I remembered something. When you went to Onigashima to fight Kaido, you said that your strength improved quickly after fighting with Kaido. Is that true? Looking at Shanks, Su Ming smiled awkwardly and silently said sorry to Kaido for 2 seconds. I can only say that it worked for me. Shanks lowered his head and pondered for a moment. As that's so, then I understand. If it doesn't work, then you're using the wrong method. Su Ming couldn't help but give Shanks a thumbs up in his heart. Beautiful. She is simply a little genius in reading comprehension. The matter was finalized, and Shanks said he would probably stay in Windmill Village for a while. Su Ming naturally had no objection. Looking at Shanks's departing back, Su Ming couldn't help but mutter, the face fruit ability isn't very useful, I'll try using my mouth when I get a chance. Su Ming took out a small notebook from his arms. Written on the cover are instructions for activating the passionate male protagonist's ultimate move. The fruits of talking and saving face are prominently listed. Over the next few days, Garp trained his grandson as usual. Advertisement. Not only Ace and Luffy, but also their brother Sabo enjoyed the treatment of this master. Su Ming also met Luffy, the legendary king, for the first time. Just as I imagined, a complete naughty kid. Every beating I received was unjust. But on this day, Garp brought his 3 naughty kids to the beach and found himself. Hey, brat, stop basking in the sun and get up to work. Garp's loud voice reached Su Ming's ears from far away. He pulled down his sunglasses and found Garp had walked up to him. What's wrong, old man? Why aren't you staying with your grandson in the back hills? Why are you looking for me? Garp chuckled and pulled the 3 little ones behind him to his front. Hey, I've been training them for many days, and their physical fitness is almost there. Something happened at the headquarters, so I have to go back. I'll leave the reaction training to you. Before Su Ming could say anything, Ace's eyes widened with a look of horror. Hey, you are serious, old man. Let this monster train us. If this is the case, I would choose you to train. Little Luffy looked puzzled. Ace, isn't it good not to let the old man train you? Ace broke out in a cold sweat. Luffy and Sabo are still young and have not experienced Su Ming's training method. It is not training at all, it is simply playing with life. Su Ming looked at Ace and suddenly became interested. He looked at the 3 little ghosts with a smile. Don't worry, old man. I'll wait for you to come back and I promise to help you train these 3 little devils to be obedient. Garp pushed the others forward and said, well, I feel relieved with what you said, I'll leave the rest to you. Hey, come on, old man, can't I just train with you? Ace quickly shouted at Garp, trying to keep him. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a chill came from behind him. Su Ming's sinister voice rang in the ears of Ace and the other 2. Ace, Uncle hasn't trained you for a long time. Isn't it time to test the results of your training? Ace suddenly reacted. Run. As soon as he finished speaking, a sword energy several hundred meters long came down and flew past Ace's scalp. The handsome hairstyle suddenly became a Mediterranean style. Luffy and Sabo's eyes widened, finally realizing why Ace had been so terrified before. The old guy at least used his fists when he was trained, but this guy who claimed to be his uncle actually used a knife. Chapter 99. Should I bet my daughter on the naval headquarters? FK. Su Ming, are you trying to kill us? The 3 little ones ran away while shouting at Su Ming behind them. Su Ming grinned. Don't blame me, I'm also very sad, mainly because your grandfather asked me to train you like this. If you want to blame someone, just blame that stinky old guy. Be careful, the next move is very powerful, the Spear of Elbaf, Weo. The terrifying sword energy split the sea surface into 2, and the seabed was directly visible. After a few breaths, the sea water flowed back. And this sword energy was less than 2 centimeters away from Luffy. At this moment, death was so close to San Shao. Seeing this move, Ace gave up completely. Run quickly, or you will really be killed by this guy. Su Ming followed the 3 people at a leisurely pace, and was hit by sword energy from time to time. From noon to dusk, even though the 3 of them were so tired that they lay on the ground, Su Ming still showed no sign of stopping his hands. No wonder this stinky old man likes to train others so much. Looking at the 3 little ones in a miserable state in the distance, Su Ming just wanted to say at this moment that he had experienced Garp's happiness. Just then, a petite figure flashed behind a thick tree. Su Ming turned his head and looked at the tree in confusion. Come out, I found you. Behind the tree, a little girl who was about the same age as Luffy walked out. The little girl's hair color is very special, one side is red and the other side is white. The red side is 9 points close to Shanks. Such a unique hair color allowed Su Ming to recognize the other person at first sight. Isn't this Shanks' daughter, Yuta? Shanks, you are so good. After Roger's death, you didn't inherit the Great Will. Instead, you hid away and secretly gave birth to a child. But to be honest, Yuta is still very cute at this age. Su Ming waved to Yuta. Yuta looked around and found that there was no one else around, so he approached Su Ming cautiously. So, are you going to kill Luffy? Su Ming was stunned, scratched his head and laughed. Who said that? Yuta, who was still very young, tugged at the corner of her clothes and said nothing. No one needs to tell me this, you can see it all. Su Ming realized that he seemed to have scared the little loli and put away the knife. I am training them specifically. But now they have finished training, so they can rest. Yuta was overjoyed and hurried to Luffy's side. Advertisement. Seeing this, Su Ming showed an anti-smile on her face. Luffy is really good. Before he even went out to sea, his childhood sweetheart came to him. He is the protagonist after all. Su Ming was in a good mood. The reason was simple. After seeing Yuta, he thought of another way to make money. You can form a girl group yourself. In the world of Pirates King, singing stars seem to be very popular. As for not having a star, that's not a big deal. Isn't there one right in front of you? This little girl is the user of the song fruit, and with her great voice, she is simply a natural-born singer. Su Ming carried the 3 little ones back to Dayton. Outside the house, Yuta was sitting on the steps, resting her face on her hands, looking up at the stars in the sky. Su Ming walked up to Yuta holding a lollipop. Yes, the lollipop was handed to Yuta. Yuta was stunned, then rolled his eyes at Su Ming. Big brother, only children eat lollipops, and don't you think it's rude to give me the candy like this? Or do you have bad intentions towards me? Little Yuta looked alert. Su Ming was petrified on the spot, looking at the little girl in front of him. What exactly does Shanks teach his daughter? The little girl looks about 5 or 6 years old, but why does she seem like she's in her teens when we're chatting? Su Ming coughed twice to hide his embarrassment and took back the lollipop. Yuta, do you like singing? Little Yuta thought for a moment and said, I really like singing. The crew members on my dad's ship all like to listen to me sing. Su Ming shook his head. I mean to let more people hear you sing. How about being a big star? Are you interested? Yuta hesitated after hearing this. I still want to stay on dad's boat. Su Ming smiled and said nothing more. It can be seen that Yuta loves singing and has the potential to be a singing star. But now it seems that there are still some things that cannot be given up. Su Ming was not in a hurry either. After all, it is very dangerous for Shanks to go to the New World, and it is impossible for him to take his daughter with him. I can talk to Shanks about this issue later. I believe there is a high chance that Shanks will agree. Advertisement. After all, this guy bet an arm on New World, so it doesn't seem strange to bet his daughter on naval headquarters. What's more, I'm helping you to plan his future. After mastering the newspapers, master the entertainment media. From now on, I don't have to worry about my image in the world. It will be absolutely perfect and full of positive news. 3 days passed quickly and Garp returned to East Blue Windmill Village from the headquarters. Old man, hurry up and save us. Su Ming wants to kill us. He actually used Weo to hit us. Don't think we don't know. That is the secret technique of the giants. As soon as he saw Garp, Ace shouted out his dissatisfaction. However, Garp's eyes lit up. Weo, good boy, you even know this trick. Was it Sora who taught you? Su Ming chuckled and exchanged a glance with Garp. The two of them ignored Ace's remarks at all. Ace was disheartened upon seeing this. Damn it, you are abusing underage children. Su Ming nodded and said, yes, that's it. You can report to the Marine and ask them to arrest me. Oh, and your grandfather and I are the Marines. Then you can tell me and I will take this old man away. Faced with such shameless people like Garp and Su Ming, the 3 kids felt that their life was bleak and they had completely lost hope. Su Ming didn't stay in Fengche village for long. Just a week or so later, Su Ming was ready to leave here by boat. Before leaving, I told Shanks about Yuta, and Shanks said he needed to think about it again. After handing Shanks a Den Den Mushi, Su Ming returned to Marineford. As soon as he came back, Su Ming went straight back to his bar office. I told Khalifa about my plan to form a girl group. Khalifa held up his gold-rimmed glasses and looked Su Ming up and down with his beautiful big eyes. I say, you don't have any selfish motives, do you? Su Ming was stunned. What selfish motive can there be in making money? Khalifa curled her lips and said, of course there are many cases of hooking up with female celebrities in the name of forming a girl group, aren't there? Ming opened his eyes wide and looked at Khalifa in disbelief. Does this happen a lot? Did this place have cosmic sticks before? Su Ming was just complaining casually. Khalifa didn't understand what Su Ming meant. What's Korean or not, I have no problem with forming a girl group, but you'd better have some sense of propriety. And right now, someone is trying to steal your girlfriend outside the bar, Dion Vice Admiral, don't you want to go check it out? There's a guy who has confessed to him more than 10 times in a row. Chapter 100 Cold Night Wind. After hearing Khalifa's words, Su Ming was stunned for a while before he reacted. Depend on. Hina had told me about this before, but I didn't take it seriously. There is a saying that goes, everyone loves beauty. Dion is in her prime, has a promising future and a good figure, so it is normal for her to be pursued. But it's wrong for you to go to lousy bar to pursue it. Su Ming walked out of the private room angrily. Where is it? Let me see which kid is so desperate that he wants to be a minotaur. In front of the bar, there was a short man wearing a hat that looked like an agent's. At this time, the man was approaching Dion with a lewd look on his face. This is it. Su Ming looked at the man with a strange expression, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. Bro, you are really lowering the average looks of Dion suitors. Khalifa walked over from behind Su Ming. Hey, that's the guy who's been causing a lot of trouble for Dion Vice Admiral lately. I used to be able to hide away in the bar, but now this guy has found this place, and there's no place to hide anymore. As Khalifa said this, he looked at Dion with a bit of sympathy on his face. Although being pursued by others is also a kind of affirmation of a girl's appearance. But for those who pursue good looks like Tay Miao, that's not an affirmation, it's equivalent to a bad review. The key point is that this negative review is the most conspicuous one. Su Ming could already feel Dion's resentment before he even got close. In front of the bar, Chatin's small, almost invisible eyes stared at Dion with lustful eyes. Dion Vice Admiral, please date me. This is my 15th confession. The veins on Dion's forehead jumped twice, and without the slightest hesitation he said, no. Vice Admiral Kaji, please keep your distance from me. Also, please don't confess to me anymore. I won't accept it no matter how many times you confess. I've made it very clear that I have someone I like. Dion's words have made it very clear. But even so, the man in front of him named Kaji still showed no intention of leaving. I don't believe it, Vice Admiral Guion. During your time at the naval headquarters, you chased away all the other men except me. Guion, Vice Admiral, you must be testing me. Guion felt like his lungs were about to explode with anger. Advertisement. What did I do wrong to deserve such a person? Don't you want to beat him away? You just can't do it. Although this guy in front of me looks a little ugly, he is still very strong. At least relying solely on swordsmanship, Guion couldn't defeat the opponent. If not for this, I would have chopped this guy with a knife long ago. Su Ming had come behind the two of them without them knowing, and happened to hear their conversation just now. He couldn't help but be speechless. How good were they about themselves? Cough cough. Behind him, Su Ming coughed twice. Guion turned around and saw Su Ming, her beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. As for Kaji, he frowned, squinted his eyes, and looked Su Ming up and down. Kid, who are you? Don't you see there's someone here? Su Ming was surprised that this guy didn't even recognize him. Su Ming had a wicked smile on his face. Before Guion could speak, Su Ming spoke first. Sister Guion, why are you here? You said you had no money, but you still came here to drink. My aunt asked you to take care of me, but you ignored me. I'll tell my aunt when I get home. Guion stared at Su Ming blankly. Kaji was also confused. Before he could figure out the other party's moves, Su Ming stepped forward and put his arm around Kaji's shoulders. You are the Vice Admiral of Cake, right? My cousin has mentioned you to me more than once, saying that you are a righteous person. Is that true? When he heard the word, cousin, the unfriendly look on Kaji's face disappeared instantly, replaced by a smile that couldn't be kinder. Oh, so you're the cousin of Vice Admiral of Guion. My apologies. Of course it's true. Did Vice Admiral Guion really say that about me? Su Ming took the opportunity to sit between the two of them. Yeah, really, but I've never seen you do anything. I know this bar. What kind of wine do you have? Why are you sending it to my cousin? The other suitors all start with a limited offer of at least 100 million. Su Ming showed disdain on his face and pushed the wine aside, as if he didn't want to bother with the other person anymore. Add a little bit of urgency. How can I accept the fact that my brother-in-law dislikes me? Looking at the bottles of expensive drinks on the bar's wine cabinet, Kaji gritted his teeth. Waiter, bring the best drinks from the counter. Advertisement. Khalifa came over with a smile. Without saying much, he took a bottle of wine and brought it to Kaji. Sir, this is the limited edition we launched this month, the Pink Diamond. It is a perfect match for this lady. Would you like to open this bottle of wine? Just as Kaji was about to ask about the price, Su Ming interrupted again. Well, pink. It does go well with my cousin, but this wine is not cheap, so forget it. Su Ming shook his head, looking regretful. Khalifa smiled and said, but no amount of money can buy this kind of thought, right? These words really touched Kaji's heart. He didn't even bother to ask the price and said, open. I want this bottle of Pink Diamond. Pour a glass for this lady right now. Bang. The cork of the wine bottle popped open. Pink bubbles came out from the mouth of the bottle. Su Ming turned his head and looked at Guion carefully again. Oh, look at my brain. Sorry, you look too much like my cousin, but he doesn't have that hemorrhoid at the corner of his mouth. I'm sorry I made a mistake. Well, you guys drink, I won't bother you anymore. Su Ming patted Jaji's shoulder and said, brother, the wine is still very good. Come on. Kaji was confused. What's going on? Did you admit your mistake? What you just said was all false. In a moment of panic, Su Ming escaped. Khalifa held an open bottle of wine in his hands. Sir, this is a limited edition wine that we are releasing this month. It costs 490 million Baileys. Since you are the first customer to try it, we can give you a voucher worth 100 Baileys. How do you want to pay? Guion looked at Cake with amusement. Cake's brain had crashed at this point. Who am I? Where am I? What happened? In just 3 minutes, he actually spent nearly 500 million Baileys, which is almost equivalent to 3 years' salary. Kaji smiled awkwardly. Well, can I return this wine if I don't drink it? Khalifa tilted his head and smiled. Sir, you are joking. 10 minutes later, Kaji walked out of the night bar naked, wearing only a pair of underwear. The wind on the street is particularly cold today. Chapter 101 Escorting Bullet. Seeing Kaji hugging his shoulders and leaving the bar trembling, Su Ming turned around and came back. Su Ming sat down next to Guion. Cousin, how did I perform? Guion rolled his eyes at Su Ming. You guys, are you helping me out or making money from me? Behind the bar, Khalifa covered her mouth and chuckled. The famous liquor that I had told Kaji about, which was worth nearly 500 million per bottle, was thrown into the trash can. He turned around and took a bottle of wine with simple packaging from the counter. Khalifa smiled and said, no matter how beautiful the packaging is, it's just for show. Sister Guion, try this bottle of wine. Bump. As soon as the cork is opened, the refreshing aroma of wine wafts out. Guion's beautiful big eyes lit up. Su Ming, this is really not nice of you. There are such good wines hidden in the bar, and I have been here so many times, but you never even offered to treat me to a drink. Su Ming chuckled and scratched his head embarrassedly. I drank it. Turning his head, Su Ming glared at Khalifa. This girl is definitely taking revenge on me. Don't be fooled by the plain-looking packaging of this bottle of wine. But in terms of value, it's far better than the bottle of Pink Diamond I just added. This is really a good wine that you can't taste even if you have money. Seeing Su Ming, Gion seemed to be in a good mood. In a short while, a bottle of top-quality collection wine was drunk up by the two of them. Gion's face flushed slightly. He lay on the bar, shaking the wine glass in his hand with one hand, and kept muttering, Su Ming, you be asterisk 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 d, you came back so long and didn't take the initiative to look for me. Am I that annoying to you? On the side, Khalifa, who obviously had a much better alcohol tolerance than Gion, said with a sly smile, Boss, Vice Admiral Gion, this is a disguised confession, right? What are you going to do next? As a woman, how could Khalifa not see what Gion was thinking? Su Ming smiled awkwardly, misunderstood, I am really not that kind of person. Khalifa tilted his head and smiled, what did I say? Su Ming, haha, I won't tease you anymore. Sister Gion drank too much. I'll help her to rest for a while. Looking at Gion and Khalifa leaving, Su Ming felt a little dazed for a moment. I really have never thought about having a harem, but there are always silly women like Gion who are willing to give themselves to me for free. Having said that, Gion has been developing really well in the past 2 years. It seems like it must have gotten C just now. Advertisement. Life in this department is still very leisurely, especially for slackers like Su Ming. That is, in the office, otherwise he would be like a security guard. Su Ming was sitting in a chair, taking a leisurely nap, even though it was only 9 o'clock in the morning. But for Su Ming, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon are both lunch breaks. But at this moment, the den mushi on the table rang at an inopportune time. Okay. Su Ming frowned and looked at the den mushi lazily. Seeing the den mushi imitating Magellan's appearance, he looked a little confused. Magellan, what does this guy want from me? Su Ming hesitated for a moment, but still picked up the den mushi. Hello, sir, it's me, Magellan. Magellan's voice came from the den mushi, and it sounded a little excited. Su Ming was indifferent. Oh, Xiaomaiza, what's the matter? Hearing this unique name, Magellan was stunned for a moment. Wait, stop talking nonsense, just say it if you have something to say. Don't you know it's rude to disturb people's lunch break? Su Ming said dissatisfiedly. Hearing this, Magellan hurriedly explained, yes, sir, it's like this. The headquarters has just issued an appointment, and I have been appointed as the director of Impel Down. I will be officially awarded the honor in 2 days, so I wonder if you can come over and be a witness for me, sir. Magellan has admiration for Su Ming. Although Su Ming did basically nothing when he arrived at Impel Down, and it was all done with the help of me, the deputy director, but the fact that he was able to defeat Golden Lion and then give the credit to everyone is worth learning from. Su Ming touched his chin and thought about it. Tisk, time flies by so fast. In a blink of an eye, Magellan has become the director. Sir, are you still there? Magellan asked cautiously. Su Ming came back to his senses and said, oh, I'm here, you're awarding me a medal, right? I'll be there then. That's great. I feel completely relieved to have you here, sir. Magellan was very excited. Wait a minute, what did you just say? Don't worry, what does that mean? Magellan was stunned. Ah, didn't our headquarters tell you that we captured Bullet, one of the Pirates King's right-hand men, some time ago? That guy is very powerful. I'm afraid I can't control him. But as long as you are here, there will be no problem. After all, you can defeat a strong man like Golden Lion. Magellan talked a lot. Su Ming's face darkened. Advertisement. Damn it, I hunt eagles every day, but today I got my eye pecked by an eagle. I have been slacking off for so long, when have I ever taken the initiative to go on a mission? You are so good, Magellan, you are so good at acting first and asking for permission later, how dare you delay my slacking off? Su Ming immediately prepared to cancel the mission. But at this moment, ding, mission release detected. Escort Pirates King crew member Bullet. Mission time limit is 15 hours. During slacking off, you can get 50,000 slacking off points per hour. The system's voice sounded in my mind after a long time. Su Ming was stunned for a moment, and looked at his current spot of slacking off. Open black lens bracket Su Ming, slacking point, 8.74 million close black lens bracket. I'm just a little bit away from getting over 1 million, and then I can unlock new permissions. In that case, or should I just try to touch it reluctantly? Anyway, sleeping on the ship or at the headquarters is basically the same. Besides, I haven't been to Impel Down for a long time, so I don't know what it looks like now. Are there any people currently playing the entertainment projects that I promoted? Yes, the headquarters hasn't told me about this matter yet, but since you've said it, as an old boss, I can't say I won't help. That's it, I'll be there later, and you'll escort Bullet with me then. On the other end of the den mushi, Magellan said with a daring, yes, sir. I feel relieved when you are here. Su Ming chuckled and said, then you can rest assured. Just kidding, so what if Bullet escapes or not? Does it matter if I'm slacking off? After hanging up the phone, Su Ming stroked his chin and thought about it. But we still have to be safe. After all, I was there. If Bullet really escapes, old man Sengoku will nag me again. Su Ming took out a golden den mushi from his arms. Hey, Akainu, have you eaten yet? Oh, you haven't eaten yet. That's great, I haven't eaten either. You go ahead and I'll be there in a minute. On the other side, Akainu stood in front of the stove, looking at the den mushi in his hand with a confused look on his face. What just happened? Was I treated as a cook by this guy Su Ming? Chapter 102 Financial Giant. At Akainu's residence, Su Ming was holding dishes and chopsticks. Hey, Akainu Admiral is so polite. He even made barbecue specially for me when he knew I was coming. I'm so embarrassed. Come on, why are you just standing there? Go get some wine. Good wine. Don't fool me with those bottles of Bailey's that cost hundreds of dollars. I can drink it. Su Ming sat down at the table without any hesitation. Akainu had dark lines on his forehead. This guy really doesn't know how to be polite at all. He wanted to kick Su Ming out, but thinking that the other party might try to take his salary, he gave up the idea. Forget it, a little impatience can ruin a big plan. For his salary, Akainu quietly returned to his room and got out a bottle of wine. Bump. Su Ming poured a full glass of wine and drank it all in one gulp. Tisk, Akainu Admiral, let me say that your wine is really not that good, why didn't you go to the night bar to buy some? Akainu ate the barbecue without saying a word. If nothing else, you really can't say the wrong thing in front of this guy, otherwise your salary may be reduced again. Su Ming curled his lips, and seeing that Akainu was not fooled, he felt it was boring. Just now, as long as Akainu took the opportunity to respond, I would have recommended him a few bottles of good, cheap wine. You don't even have to pay for it, just deduct it from your salary and that's it. After eating and drinking, Su Ming touched his stomach. Akainu cleared the table without saying a word and sat back in front of Su Ming. Just tell me what you want to say, Akainu said in a deep voice. In the past few years, Su Ming's business has been growing bigger and bigger. Whether it is bars, hotels, snack streets, newspapers, and even some bounty hunter guilds, Su Ming's involvement can be seen everywhere. Of course, the largest investment among these is still in Marineford's entertainment industry. After returning from the Marine mission to Japan, Ding Tian went to the bar to buy a few drinks to relax. Now, as long as I go to Su Ming's shopping street, the money in my bag will flow out like a flood. Many Marines are addicted to this kind of life, and Sakazuki, who has always been iron-blooded, can't stand this the most. Can't you give some way out to those of us who want to do practical things? And the source of all this is Su Ming. If Vice Admiral Garp hadn't brought this guy back a few years ago, things would have come to this point. Whenever he walks through the shopping street, there are only 4 words in Akainu's mind and wallet: painful, hurry hand. Su Ming chuckled, knowing that the guy in front of him didn't like him, so he stopped beating around the bush. Hey, Admiral Akainu, I came here today to ask for your help. I have a task for you. Advertisement. Akainu raised his eyebrows when he heard this and looked at Su Ming with interest. You want my help? Su Ming nodded. Yeah, that's right, this is something that only a tough guy like Admiral Akainu can handle. What mission? Hey, escort bullet to impel down. Akainu looked at Su Ming and asked, can't you go by yourself? Su Ming looked at Akainu in shock, are you kidding me? My arms and legs are so thin, what if I get hurt by that guy? Akainu's forehead was covered with dark lines. That's not what you said when you hit me with the knife. Although he didn't want to admit it, Su Ming's current strength was indeed not weaker than his own. Even much stronger than myself. In that case, this guy asked me to go with him. There is only one truth. The new machine was hit by a knife by itself. This guy just wants to be lazy. No, I'm busy. I need to go out to sea. Akainu, who guessed Su Ming's true intention, refused without hesitation. FK. Akainu, I've been putting up with you for so long. You have to go today, whether you want or not. Akainu was not in a hurry, drinking his tea leisurely. Why? You are the Marine Logistics Department. Even if you have the right to postpone my salary, you can't command me, an admiral. It is precisely because he is sure of this that Akainu is so fearless. Unexpectedly, Su Ming showed a wicked smile on his face. Instead of getting even angrier, he took out a golden den mushi from his arms and placed it in front of him. Hee, I wanted to get along with you as an ordinary person, but what I got in return was alienation. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm celestial dragons. 1,000 horses were galloping through Akainu's heart. Damn, I actually forgot about this. This guy is not only the commander-in-chief of Marine Logistics but also a celestial dragon named by the 5 elders. Admiral Akainu, you don't want your fleet to be accused of failing to protect the celestial dragons, do you? What? You said this is not compliant. Needless to say, Su Ming must have used some shady tricks to capture Akainu's coolie. Don't worry, with Admiral Akainu and I here, not to mention Bullet, even Buffett can't get out. Hey, I knew Admiral Akainu would come. Advertisement. Anyway, with Akainu here, I can just relax and do my homework. The one who escorted Bullet was none other than Kizaru, who was also one of the 3 admirals. As for if Akainu and Bullet fight to the death, it has nothing to do with me. Kizaru was also very surprised to see Su Ming and Akainu. He stroked his chin and looked between the two with curiosity. If I were to explain what the stock market is, it would be a lot of work for me. But now I have capital, so I can be the banker. Su Ming looked at Akainu who arrived late. By the way, I still have a business to do, the stock market. Oh, it's okay. When he heard that I was going to escort Bullet to impel down, Admiral Akainu volunteered to go with me. No one could stop him. It's so frustrating. At worst, if you have the ability, you can still overturn the table. Soon, Su Ming's ship sailed out to sea and met the ship where Bullet was imprisoned. Su Ming thought about it and said, that is a hidden strong man in a city called the stock market. Hey, Lao Huang, you are here too. But Kizaru didn't intend to tell the truth. If you can't manage the stock market, you are destined to never become a financial giant in this world. Kazaru, a veteran official, immediately saw what was going on. Oh, so that's how it is. I haven't heard of it before. Mr. Su Ming is getting more and more well-informed now. Looking at Akainu's throbbing veins, Su Ming knew that the other party would agree. Shit, have you ever seen a celestial dragon behave himself? Su Ming doesn't care about that. Suddenly, Su Ming had an idea. Mr. Su Ming, what are you doing? Su Ming chuckled. It turned out that talking nonsense could solve a lot of problems. Akainu stood aside, hugging his shoulders, silent. Not only you, but also the Marines on your ship will suffer as well. Kazaru was confused. Who does Buffett belong to? He is also a big pirate. Akainu said nothing and walked to the boat silently. Suga, Admiral Akainu has worked really hard. Bullet is in this cabin. I'll leave it to you guys from now on. In a blink of an eye, 3 days later, we arrived at the port. If you don't agree, I will stay on your ship every day. If I meet pirates, I will say that I was injured and you failed to protect me. Chapter 103 Interrogation. Took over Kazaru's warship. There was still some distance to impel down, and Su Ming had just finished a 6-hour nap, so he wasn't too sleepy. I was just thinking about finding something to do for fun when I suddenly thought of Bullet. As a crew member of the Pirates King Roger, this guy is definitely the best in this ocean. After all, anything produced by Roger must be high quality. Of course, Garp is not inferior in this regard. In that case, I should really go and see what this Bullet looks like. Who can be called the offspring of the devil? Inside the deck, there was a huge seastone prison, in which sat a sturdy young man. Douglas Bullet, let me ask you something. Do you know where Raftel is? Although he had no interest in the Pirates King's great treasure. But curiosity is still there. If I knew the location of Raftel, I would build a night bar first. When someone else comes to the island, tell him, kid, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Bullet slowly raised his head and revealed a dangerous smile. Even though he was imprisoned, he still looked at Su Ming with disdain. Su Ming suddenly became furious. FK, why are you pretending in front of me? Someone who doesn't know would think I was arrested. Someone, come and follow the procedures that Admiral Akainu ordered. Before coming in, I guessed that Bullet would definitely not be someone who was easy to talk to. In this case, we need to give it some color first. However, when it comes to offending people, Su Ming never uses his own name. Otherwise, what if he comes back to seek revenge? Akainu is on board now, so the name is well used. Su Ming clapped his hands, and several Marines carried in some iron tools from outside the door. The iron shoes were burning red on the floor. The sea breeze is too cold. There are many meridians on the feet, so you have to keep warm. This is just right. A small whip dipped in devil pepper water. This is a personal preference. Some people love it. Try it and you might like it. Bullet's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Don't glare at me. I'm a coward. Besides, I'm just following orders. If you have any questions, go find Admiral Akainu. Bullet said nothing. And that, right. Oh, look at you. You are so stupid. Is that how the horse is released? Shouldn't the stick rush up? Have you ever seen a horse with its legs up in the air? How do you sit on it? Bullet, who had looked nonchalant before, suddenly widened his eyes when he heard that he was going to ride on this wooden horse. Wait, what did you say? That thing is for sitting. Advertisement. Su Ming turned his head and said, what else? Hanging clothes. So, what does that stick mean? Su Ming hesitated for a while and thought, this mainly serves a fixing purpose. After all, this horse is so fun to ride, it would be bad if you fall off. Bullet sweated profusely from his temples. Who is this Akainu? When did I offend him and why did he treat me like this? Although I have heard that impel down involves torture, I have never heard of anyone lynching someone on a ship. Su Ming waved his hands at the Marines and said, all right, let's leave it like this for now. When he tells me the location of Raftel, call me. Su Ming wasn't worried about whether he could pry the other person open his mouth. But curiosity must be satisfied. A moment later, Bullet's screams were heard in the cabin. Akainu passed by and looked at Su Ming standing at the door. Interrogating. Su Ming nodded. Tisk, I didn't expect you to be so responsible this time. Aren't you afraid that this guy will really escape and cause trouble for you? Akainu had a smirk on his face. You can't do anything to the other person, but you can still scare them. Unexpectedly, Su Ming looked at him and smiled. What a coincidence. I'm really not afraid. Seeing Su Ming's expression, Akainu felt speechless and turned away. In the room, the Marine who was carrying out the execution came out and said, Sir, he won't say anything. Have torture instruments been used? Yes. And the horse? I have used it, as the latch in place. Marine soldier. We've tried all the methods of execution, but we can't really open his mouth. Sir, I've been doing this for years. I've never seen a torture device as cruel as yours, but I've never seen someone as stubborn as you. Su Ming glared at the Marine who was carrying out the execution. You have been doing this for so many years. Fortunately, you are not under my command, otherwise I would have kicked you into the sea to feed the fish. Let me ask you, what is the essence of torture instruments? Marine shook his head blankly. Su Ming looked disappointed. When the torture instruments are used up, use a combination. When the combination is used up, use it repeatedly. It's such a simple truth. The wooden horse and the pepper spray are a perfect match, right? Why are you so stubborn? Open your mind a little. Also, when you tell people to go out, don't call me. Call Akainu Admiral. Got it? Advertisement. Marine stared at Su Ming with eyes wide open. Wow, I really met a master today. Executioners are so cruel that they have Satan tattooed on their backs. But if Satan hears you today, he will have to tattoo you on his back. Although Su Ming's proposal was a good one, Bullet still didn't reveal Raftel's location in the end. Seeing this, Su Ming's interest was lost. However, at night, inside the prison, Bullet looked horrible. He seemed to be unconscious, but suddenly he opened his eyes. There was a strong murderous intent flashing in his eyes. A key came out of his mouth. ... Boom. In the silent night, a huge explosion suddenly sounded on the ship. Oh no. The prisoner escaped. Akainu, who was resting, suddenly stood up and rushed out of the house. Admiral Akainu, bad news. Bullet escaped. A marine shouted in panic. Upon hearing this, Akainu prepared to look for the fugitive. But the next second, a black shadow crashed in front of him. Are you Akainu? Lousy is going to kill you today. Without giving Akainu any chance to react, Bullet punched out. At the same time, Su Ming, who had already run to another warship, leaned on the bed with a can of beer. Tisk, Akainu, this won't work. How can we be attacked by surprise? Yes. Hit him and kick him at the base of his tail. He's injured there. Ding. Congratulations to the host for slacking off during the mission melee. Every hour, the slacking off points will double to 100,000. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully increasing the difficulty of the Akainu mission, and an additional 20,000 slacking points will be awarded every hour. Closing square bracket. Su Ming's eyes lit up. This works too. I never thought that I could get some benefits by just tricking Akainu. It seems that we have found a new way to fish in the future. The battle lasted until dawn. Bullet was probably injured and ultimately failed to escape from the vast ocean. But even though he was taken down by Akainu, the opponent still looked unconvinced. Akainu, you are a villain, taking advantage of others' misfortune. Let Lousy go and let him take care of it for 2 days, or he will tear you apart alive. On the other hand, Akainu wasn't much better off, with a bruised face and dark circles under his eyes. Is this guy in front of me crazy? He doesn't even want to run away when he sees me, but insists on fighting with me. Chapter 104 Technological Arsenal. The next morning, Su Ming's fleet finally arrived at Impel Down. Magellan and his group had already been waiting at the port. Seeing Su Ming's boat, the soldiers in Impel Down immediately stood at attention and saluted. The warship's plank was lowered, and Akainu and Su Ming walked down with Bullet. Magellan stepped forward. Captain Su Ming. Admiral Akainu. However, when he looked up and saw Akainu with a bruised face, Magellan was stunned. Admiral Akainu, what are you doing? Akainu's eyes twitched, and after a while he managed to utter 4 words, military secrets. Su Ming on the side tried hard to suppress his laughter. I didn't realize that Akainu was such a face-conscious guy. Bullet was ruthless in his fight with him, hitting him in the face with every move. He was willing to get caught just to teach Akainu a lesson, and in fact, he did it. Faced with Akainu's answer, Magellan didn't know how to continue asking. Then Admiral Akainu, Commander Su Ming, we will escort Bullet first. Thank you for your hard work. After the awarding ceremony is over, please stay. I'll treat everyone to a drink. Ding. Congratulations to the host, the mission is completed. The mission time is 15 hours, and the slacking time is 15 hours. Closing square bracket. 100% mission completion, extra reward of 500,000 lazy points. Normal reward for the mission, 750,000 slacking points. Host's current total number of fishing points is 9.99 million. Hearing the system prompt, Su Ming felt happy and waved his hand at Magellan. It's not hard, this is what we, the senior Marines, should do. Akainu, who was standing by, was so angry that he was shaking when he heard Su Ming's words. How dare you say such a thing? Along the way, what the hell did you do besides interrogating Bullet for about an hour? Do you appear in front of your subordinates for 10 minutes? It's a pity that Akainu didn't know that his bad luck came from the hour that Su Ming was busy. After the handover, the Marine who was impelled down was ready to push the Bullet down. However, seeing that the cloth blocking Bullet's mouth was in the way, he simply pulled it off. Bullet, who was finally able to speak, turned his head and shouted at Akainu. Akainu, you son of ABCH. Wait until Lousy comes out, and Lousy will settle the score with you. You thought people wouldn't notice you because you were wearing a hat, but Lousy beat you up and made you look like a panda. Now that his mouth is free, Bullet starts talking trash. Advertisement. The jailer who had pulled the cloth out of Bullet's mouth was stunned and quickly stuffed the cloth back. Akainu, woo. Several jailers rushed to hold Bullet down. Magellan's eye twitched and he looked at Akainu. The atmosphere was a little awkward for a moment. After a while, Magellan responded. Well, let's go, everyone. Admiral Akainu and Commander Su Ming have been so tired escorting Bullet. They have dark circles under their eyes. Let's go. Su Ming gave Magellan a thumbs up in his heart. Good boy, that's a good excuse. The only problem is that I've never heard of anyone getting dark circles on only one side of their eyes from staying up late. The Bullet incident was just a minor incident. Although Admiral Akainu lost face in front of his marines, the mission was finally accomplished successfully. As for Magellan's conferment of the title, as Magellan's old superior, Su Ming was honored to give Magellan the epaulets. Su Ming patted Magellan on the shoulder. Magellan's eyes were filled with excitement. Don't worry, sir. I will definitely learn from you and become an excellent marine in the future. Akainu in the audience felt mixed emotions. Excellent marine. These are probably the words that have the least to do with Su Ming in the world. However, Su Ming and Magellan saw no problem with this statement. Instead, they praised each other for business in front of Akainu. Come on and do your best. I'm counting on you. In order to express his gratitude, Magellan specially set up a banquet. After having a good meal and a good drink, Su Ming returned to his room. As soon as I lay down on the bed, the system's voice rang in my head. Ding. Congratulations to the host, you have successfully slacked off during work hours and received 10,000 slacking points. The current number of lazy points is 10 million, and the system will automatically open new permissions. Closing square bracket. New permissions opened. Technology arsenal. Su Ming sat up from the bed again. System, open the panel. I saw that in my system interface, in addition to the 3 options of lottery, mall, and achievements, there is now an additional option of arsenal. Open the arsenal interface. Advertisement. When Su Ming saw what was inside, he was stunned. System, what does the robot here mean? Ding. Reply to the host. As long as the host provides the corresponding technology points, the technology arsenal can produce robots of different models. Can be used for combat, life, entertainment, various models are available. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The more functions you have, the different the price. Close black lens bracket. Of course, the host can also choose to design the drawings themselves, and the system will evaluate the required points for production. Closing square bracket. Open black lens bracket. The robots produced take the host instruction as the highest command. Close black lens bracket. Only then did Su Ming understand the meaning of this arsenal. However, when he heard about entertainment, the corners of Su Ming's mouth twitched. Wow, you are really good at playing with this system. The arsenal actually has entertainment money, for smashing, playing poker, and using royal bombs. Ahem, that's off topic. Su Ming tried to open the robot production list. Terminator Rev 9, made of nanotechnology, can regenerate infinitely, can split into multiple robots, its ability to withstand blows and liquid surface recovery has made a qualitative leap, and has independent consciousness and emotional system. Each unit is priced at 3 million points. Closing square bracket. Battle robot, Yorha B-type robot, female in appearance, with short white hair, a black eye mask, a black gothic dress, and black over-the-knee high-heeled leather boots. The price is 3 million points per unit. Skynet system, priced at 7 million fishing points. Closing square bracket. Artificial Intelligence Core, Red Queen, priced at 6 million points. Closing square bracket. Ordinary mechanical life form on Cybertron, priced at 20 million. Su Ming looked at the introductions one by one, and it took him a while to react. It's really an arsenal, and they are all robots. Not to mention the Terminator and the like, even the Transformers are in it. The Pirates King world has intelligent robot technology. First a pacifist, then a seraph. However, if these are compared with Transformers, they are a bit inferior. Moreover, in this arsenal, even Transformers are not the top-notch troops. Su Ming realized that this was a weapon that was no less powerful than a super satellite orbital cannon. Moreover, you don't need a lot of Baileys to do this, as long as you have enough slacking points. Chapter 105. Join the glorious evolution. Looking at the various robots in the arsenal, Su Ming stroked his chin and thought about it. With my current level of slacking, I can still get 2. Faced with the Terminator Rev 9 with powerful individual combat capabilities and the Transformers, the most lethal weapons on the battlefield, Su Ming decisively chose the Lolita skirt. Ahem, no, I chose the close combat robot Yorha Type B. Not for the young lady, mainly because I like the black style. I pressed the confirm button on the Yorha B-type robot. Ding. Yorha B-type robot is being produced. Closing square bracket. After 3 days, the production robot will automatically go to the host. Closing square bracket. Su Ming's eyes twitched. FK, your system also has express delivery, right? Ding. Because the arsenal's production is different from the current world technology, it needs to be coordinated. Closing square bracket. After hearing the system's explanation, Su Ming was too lazy to pursue the matter. Anyway, if there was suddenly such a robot around me and someone discovered it, it would indeed attract some attention. When I get back to Marineford, I will have ways to rationalize it. The next day, we returned to Marineford. As soon as Su Ming returned to the bar, Khalifa walked into the office. Khalifa raised her eyebrows and said, someone is looking for you outside. Looking at Khalifa's weird expression, Su Ming couldn't help but wonder, what's with that expression? Khalifa said playfully, nothing much, just a girl in a black gothic Lolita dress who insisted on meeting you. Sure, Su Ming, you've only been out for 3 days and you've already brought someone back. Su Ming was stunned for a moment, then he slapped his forehead and reacted. Shit, let her in. I'll explain to you what's going on later. Khalifa had never seen Su Ming so anxious, and he knew he was not joking, so he turned around and led him in. Meet Yorha B bot. The system voice sounded again. Ding. The robot ordered by the Science and Technology Arsenal has arrived. Closing square bracket. Su Ming finally confirmed that this was the robot he customized. Hello, Master. Yorha Type B robot saluted Su Ming. The career line is clearly visible. 3 million well spent. But Khalifa on the side was not in such a good mood. Seeing Su Ming's useless look, she lowered her head to look at herself and snorted. Advertisement. You learn the bad habits of celestial dragons quickly. Su Ming came back to his senses and smiled awkwardly. He took Khalifa's hand and said, okay, don't be angry. I'll tell you what's going on now. Su Ming told Khalifa that the other party was a robot. Khalifa didn't believe it at first, until Yorha proved it himself. Khalifa walked around the man several times, still with a look of disbelief in his eyes. It's hard to imagine that a living person is actually a mechanical life. Su Ming, are you sure she is a robot and not a cyborg? In the world of Pirates King, after entering the core of the world government, it is not uncommon to see cyborgs. While retaining human intelligence, it also takes into account the mechanical body. Khalifa also knew something about this. Su Ming shook his head. Don't think about it, she is a real robot. But we don't need to care about it. Just treat her as a normal person. True artificial intelligence life can think independently. Su Ming walked in front of the robot and thought about it. Well, Yorua Type B is just the name of the robot. Now that you are here, I'll give you a name of your own. Just call me Neil. Neil had a sweet smile on her face. Although I couldn't see her eyes, I could still feel that she was very happy. With the technological arsenal, Su Ming has more motivation to slack off. I now have more and more cards in my hand. Everything is moving in the right direction. I can also slack off more easily. When you have enough slack points, you won't have to be afraid even if your power grows to the point where it threatens the world government and you fall out with the 5 elders. However, not long after, a familiar yet unfamiliar Den Dan Mushi was delivered to Su Ming. The reason why he said familiar yet strange was that he had never seen the image of this Den Dan Mushi before, but the pink glasses on it allowed him to tell at a glance who was on the other end of the Den Dan Mushi. Hey, Ming, what's up? In the Den Dan Mushi, Doflamingo was silent for 2 seconds, then said carefully, Boss, our goods were robbed. Su Ming, who was sitting on the chair, was stunned. Can you say that again? Su Ming even suspected that he had heard it wrongly. Your goods were robbed. There are still people who have such courage now. Haha, okay, who robbed us? Tell me, Whitebeard, Big Mom, or some blind celestial dragons. Su Ming laughed in anger and sat up. Okay, I get it. Advertisement. At the same time, at the Thriller Bark, Moonlight Mariah was sitting on wine boxes with a group of his subordinates. The boss I follow is really brave. Moonlight Mariah held a bottle of wine in his hand and laughed, it doesn't matter. Once we enter the new world, this is our world. The Den Dan Mushi hung up, and Ming Jie on the other end of the phone wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Su Ming said directly, it's okay, I'll ask someone to pick you up later, and you can come here in the name of Celestial Dragon's condolences. Doflamingo cursed Moonlight Mariah in his heart. Where did this idiot come from? How dare you rob anything? Didn't you see that Kaido knew about this and didn't dare to get involved? 6. It's true that every new supernova will find different ways to commit suicide. In terms of strength, I can only be considered below average in the new world. It is not dare to go to Wano Kuni. However, the name Doflamingo said took him a while to react. It's Gecko Mariah, the pirate's supernova. Brothers, believe me, it won't be long before we become the overlords of the new world. But the thought of going to Marineford as a pirate is exciting. Su Ming, boss. But after intercepting our goods, he went to find Kaido. Kaido learned that he had intercepted the night bar, but he didn't fight him. He just drove him out of Wano Kuni. It seems like he's afraid of getting into trouble. Su Ming boarded the ship and came to the most luxurious room on the ship. Outskirts of Wano Kuni. 3 days later, a huge merchant ship docked at the port. The user of the shadow fruit. He knows it's the goods from the night bar, right? Ha ha ha, Captain, this new world isn't as scary as the legend says. A merchant ship like this with only a few people dares to go out to sea. This cannot be blamed on him. After all, if Ming Jie was caught by Kaido, he would be in a miserable state. After hearing this, Su Ming finally understood why Doflamingo called him Ming Jie. Well, there is a sign for the night bar on the boat. Well, this pirate's named Moonlight Moria is a supernova that just entered the new world. These are the only ones Su Ming could think of. Where is he now? And that Kaido, if it weren't for the strategic location of Wano Kuni, we might have been able to attack it. Well, you go to Marineford now, and I'll go with you. Su Ming just nodded and said, tell me what's going on. Boss, this matter is my fault. I thought that no one would touch our ship in New World, so I arranged a small number of accompanying combat personnel. Doflamingo was already waiting inside. Boss, I'm a pirate now. It's inappropriate for me to go to the naval headquarters, right? Doflamingo was speechless.